And we're live.
Yay! About time! Holy hell! Anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome. This is going to be a dumpster fire. Believe me, it's going to be a dumpster fire. But joining me for the dumpster fire, we have our producer, Fight the Flat Earth. How's it going, good sir?
Going good. Always happy to be in the presence of debating greatness, showing me what I should be good at doing by now.
And we also have, helping us with the production of this dumpster fire, we have Team Skeptic. How's it going? How's it going?
Really fucking better. My AC has been not working for a few months now, and I've been bitching about it for about 9 months now because it didn't work in the winter either. But just over the summer, it's been a kind of a bitch, and I've been bitching about it to my landlord today, and he got to fixing it, and he realized that the whole fucking time my AC unit wasn't working because he installed the fucking light switch that turns the AC unit on and off up in the attic. He installed it upside down. So the entire time that I had it in the up position into the on position, it was really into the off position. And it only took him getting his shit shocked today to realize that he was a dumbass and put it in upside down.
So we had
I have
off is
AC
on
now,
and
I'm
on is
fucking
off.
great. I have AC now.
Wow.
Life is great.
All right. Well, speaking of bitching about things we don't care about, we have Astronomy Live. How's it going, good sir?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
So we broke away from our last live stream with a hanging question. We just had a question, and it was hanging in the air, so I'm going to repeat the question to see if we can get an answer this time. Astronomy Live, how's your stool sample? Is it nutty? Is it corny? Is it practically water?
I'm gonna keep pleading the fifth on this every time you ask.
I would advise that that's good advice, definitely. Do that.
And speaking of stool samples, we have Spurs. Spurs, you wanted to have a conversation with us, so here we are, I guess.
Kimo. Yes, we're going to talk about how rockets cannot, absolutely scientifically impossible, Reds, that these devices work in the area. That simply one doesn't exist. We'll talk about that. And if it did exist, how on earth can something work where there's nothing to push off? We're going to get into all of that. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. Glad to see you, Craig. Glad to see your team. And you said you've got...
Good to see you.
I can't see the name there.
Astronomy Live.
Who else? Astronomy Live. Yeah,
Astronomy
glad to meet you. Glad to speak to you. So thanks for having me on, Reds. Great stuff.
Okay, so basically, if that reminded you of Dr. Roxo, the rock and roll clown, you are not alone. So let's go ahead and get this shit show started. So... you were talking some mad shit, Spurs, in my live chat where we were live streaming the launch of the Atlas V 541 with the Perseverance rover on board. So I have to ask, what's your fucking problem with our live stream?
Problem is that is where they go in the destination. You know, the final destination. Now, I understand a rocket can obviously fly around in our atmosphere. Because it obviously has something to push off. But obviously when it gets up to a certain height, I think the world record is something like 200,000 feet maybe. We'll have to double check that. But once it gets to those regions, there's simply nothing for it to push off. It simply cannot ignite, it cannot burn, there's no combustion. So the idea that rockets work in a place that, again, like I said previously at the start, that doesn't exist. There's just no way that we can accept this without science, Red. We need science to back up this claim.
About science and evidence. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I am going to go ahead and ask you to do something that I know is very hard for you to do, but I need you to humor me, and that is to shut up and listen. Astronomy Live, you were there to record the launch of the Perseverance rover, correct?
Yep, didn't stop there, but yeah.
Yep, obviously you didn't stop there, and that's where we're going to go from here. We're going to go over the thing you did where you didn't just stop at the launch, you also did something after the fact. Can you please describe for not only Spurs, but for the audience, what you did after the launch of Perseverance?
Yeah, sure. The evening after the launch of Perseverance, I pulled out my trusty LX200 telescope, polar aligned it, and set up my deep space camera. I then pointed it at where Perseverance was supposed to be, and tracked it for a period of several hours and live streamed it on my channel. Now, in addition to collecting images of Perseverance as it was departing from Earth from my own telescope, I also took control of a telescope in California over the internet. So obviously I was still in Florida. I also had control over a telescope in California, and at the same time took images from California. This allowed me to basically measure the parallax of Perseverance and measure the distance of Perseverance at that time. I then took all the observations from the start of the webcast to the end of the webcast, and then calculated the orbit and looked at where it was going and where it had been. So, team, if you can pull up my video that I sent you, that last link I sent.
Team Skeptic. Keep
Oh,
up
I'm
the
sorry.
last,
I'm sorry.
the-
I had it muted. Yeah, you want the 4-minute one or the hour and 40-minute one?
The 4-minute one. Yeah, if we
4-minute
can
one?
skip
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, here it is right
If we
here.
can skip ahead, people I think have already seen the launch, and that's really not what is the most critical point here. Let's look at where it was going. Let's skip ahead to about 1 minute and 35 seconds in that video. Okay, so here are the images from the LX200. This is an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, and highlighted there you can see this little dot moving along against the background stars. That is Perseverance, as we'll see in a minute. So I tracked this. This is about roughly 2 hours compressed into a few seconds here, moving along here against the background stars. Now, I also simultaneously fired up a telescope in California about an hour into the webcast, and for the remainder of it, took images with a telescope in California that was even larger. So the telescope in California was a 24-inch telescope, 3 times the size of my scope, and was easily able to detect Perseverance. So here are the images from this 24-inch beast in California that were being taken at the same time. And what we can see here, I also want you to notice that the path is curved. It's not a straight line, actually. The path of the rover is a bit curved, and mostly that's because of parallax caused by Earth's rotation. If you were viewing this from a fixed, unmoving point at the center of the Earth, and you could look through the Earth and see this thing, you would see roughly a straight line against the background stars. But here we see a curve because the telescope's position is actually changing as well as it moves along with the Earth's rotation. But we can take all these observations and solve for the orbit. But first, I did parallax measurements. So at 7:53:21 Universal Time, the telescope in California and my telescope conducted a simultaneous picture, starting the exposure at the same time and measuring the position of Perseverance relative to the background stars. And they are in 2 very different positions that are separated by about 0.54 degrees, as seen on the window on the right. And this gives us the parallax. That's the parallax angle. So we can use the law of sines to solve the triangle now and actually get the distance of Perseverance from my telescope. And it comes out to about 316,000 kilometers. And that's within 1% of the official number predicted by JPL. And then I used all of the observational data to actually solve for the orbit. So we're going to take a look here. These are all the measurements I made in all of the images that I took and the California telescope took. The ones with the X on them have been excluded because they were a little bit off in the terms of the automatic detection. I use automatic detection to center up on the Perseverance. So if it's a little bit too dim in the image, it doesn't center up quite as well. But for the most part, it did a great job and got about 60 observations on it here that were used to calculate the orbit. And you can see the perigee distance there. We're going to get into that in a minute. that is kind of interesting too. So I ran a series of Monte Carlo solutions of the orbit to look at the uncertainty region and see if it overlaps with Mars. You can see Perseverance there departing from Earth, which is the dot at the purple circle. The dot on the golden circle is Mars, and sure enough, Perseverance is on track to arrive at Mars. So there's that.
So
and now,
Astronomy Live. So
Yeah.
basically, not only were you there for the launch, which means you and me, we both have confirmation that this thing actually took off. We have confirmation that this thing made it to orbit, and we have confirmation that that orbit places it on a course to Mars. This was all confirmed not through NASA. This was all confirmed through your observations.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look here at the orbit solution, because there's something rather interesting going on here. If you look at the screen I'm showing, can people see my screen here? I think they can, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
perigee,
yeah, I'll put you up full.
So perigee means the point in the orbit closest to Earth. Okay, so this is the Earth-centric orbital elements. And perigee was predicted to have occurred at about 12:41 and 40 seconds universal time. That is the point where it was last closest to Earth, according to my observations. It has nothing to do with NASA, purely my own observations using telescopes that were under my control that evening. Now, team, if you could go to the other video and that exact point in time I asked you to pause the video, let's take a look at that. Let's see what happened during the webcast of that launch. So here's the webcast of the launch. This is the final burn. We're not going to play it here, but this is the final burn of that Centaur upper stage before it let go of the rover. And if you can zoom in on the time showing on that webcast, oh, look at that, 12:41 universal time. It's a perfect match to when my own determination of the orbit predicts it was last closest to Earth. And it predicts that distance to be, if we can go back to my video, what I'm showing here for a second, the close approach distance was about 6,585 kilometers from the center of the Earth, or about 200 kilometers and change above the surface of the Earth, low Earth orbit. So we can trace this thing back to where it departed from Earth and the time it departed from Earth, and we can trace it forward to where it's going to Mars.
Yep. So
I
as
feel
of
like
right
we
now,
should let
we have-
Spurs respond to some of that, because that's quite a lot of information that he's had to take in there.
No, let him finish,
Absolutely,
because,
we will.
finish.
But I want to make
rather,
this clear. I want to make this clear. We have confirmation of launch. We have confirmation that the object that was launched made it to orbit, which means the rocket did its job. And we have confirmation that this thing is on a course to Mars. And this is data not gathered from NASA. So with all this, how can you say that the rocket didn't do its job, that this object wasn't launched into space, and that it's not going to Mars? Go.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know what language you guys are speaking. Obviously, it's in their numbers, ones and zeros, okay? But I'm speaking in English, and what I'm looking for is the scientific evidence, okay? Not mathematical numbers or mathematical language that you guys speak in. You know, if you could show, like I say, that a rocket can fly in a region with the low pressure behind it, well then, yeah, you would scientifically validate your claim. But all we have right now is just an object in the sky flying around the atmosphere. You've tracked it with a computer for so far. You're not actually seeing the rocket once it goes out of your visual. So we need to show that it's actually doing what they say, or what you say it's actually doing. Do you understand what's trying to
Spurs, I'm confused. They actually did see it, and they used it to make a prediction, which then came true.
No.
They did show you what they're asking
You're speaking
for.
a different language here. Let's use English. So what we're going to try and do is
that's
try
okay.
and perform an experiment.
All right, let me go ahead and take out the sciencey language that is clearly too complicated for you, and let me try to dumb it down as much as I can.
Yeah, it's
We
almost
saw
like
the damn
Chinese
thing
rap,
launch.
you know?
We saw the damn thing launch. We saw the damn thing in orbit. We were able to triangulate it to figure out if it is actually the object in question. It is.
No.
We were
That's when
able
you
to.
do- that's when you do
Hang on.
correct.
Hang on. Not done yet. Then we were able to use math, which I know you don't speak very well, to determine whether or not this thing was going to Mars or not. It is going to Mars. You claim that rockets don't work in space. Well, a rocket would be a really crappy tool if it couldn't do what we saw this object do.
So then the answer has to be it's not space. There is atmosphere there,
No.
and obviously it would
No,
work.
that
There was
is-
no reason why
that
it wouldn't
is
work.
space. That is space, and I point you to the other observation we made when we figure out the altitude, size, and speed of the International Space Station. We did this shit back in 2018, I believe, where we determined that this object was traveling at 4.7 miles per second orbital velocity. If that speed was achieved in Earth's atmosphere, the object going that fast would burn up.
People would die.
People would die.
No, again,
The
this
thing
is
would
a
be a
lot of ifs
fireball.
and buts. Look, guys, it's a lot of ifs and buts. and maybes.
There was no ifs and buts there. There is no ifs and buts there.
Right.
What you are saying is impossible if it's not happening in a vacuum. If you have an atmosphere and you're punching through it at 4.7 miles per second, you're going to fuck shit up.
Right, Spurs. As a moderator, I need to try and get you to answer a direct question here. Now, using the parallax measurements that Astronomy Live gathered, he was able to actually calculate the position of it, and it showed that it was not in the atmosphere. The actual empirical evidence showed that object was not within our atmosphere. How do you respond to that?
I've just told you, his language tells him it's that another language says it's impossible.
No, it's not about language, it's about empirical observations. Parallax measurements are the same as 1 + 1 = 2. They cannot lie. You cannot change these measurements to be something else. It's just the same as getting out a ruler and measuring something. He did exactly that. So how do you respond to the fact that it was measured to be outside of the atmosphere?
Like I said, how can he know, with using this language, that it's outside of the atmosphere if he doesn't go there himself?
Because 1 + 1 = 2.
Okay, that may be, yeah.
We don't. Wait a minute. We don't actually need to go there to figure out what the hell is going on up there. For example, if I see an object screaming through the sky at 4.7 miles per second and it's not a fireball, it's a pretty safe assumption to say that it's in a vacuum.
I have a question.
Okay, again,
I
let's
want
talk
to
about
ask
the
this first
mechanics
question.
of this, guys. So we've got the rocket in the atmosphere, where it's pushing off the
we
atmosphere, fine. Then it reaches the Kármán line. At this point, which we've seen with Virgin Galactic, the fuel, the exhaust, the burning stops burning. It has nothing more to push off, and it falls back down to the ground. That's what science
Do you know
says.
why
That's
that
what
is?
all the experiments...
No. First of all, Virgin Galactic is a suborbital flight. Do you know what suborbital means?
No, what does it mean?
That means they're not trying to get into orbit, dumbass, which means, of course, they're going to fall back down.
They're not trying to
That's
get orbit.
the
They're
point.
trying to get as high as... No, they're trying to get as high as...
Orbit. They're not
they're
trying
not.
to
You're
get
right.
into orbit. It's the
know.
same thing
This is the
with.
altitude.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Blue Origin and their New Shepard rocket. That is a suborbital rocket. We recorded, me and Astronomy Live recorded, an orbital class rocket, which did make it to
So
orbit.
answer me this
Objectively.
then. Why would they stop at that height? Why not go higher and higher and higher?
Because of
Why
the
try
thing
and
called.
break the world?
Because
Why try and
because
break
you
the
answer
world
your own
record?
question. Because you answer your own question. Because they ran out of fuel. Eventually, you run out of fuel, and also when it comes to Blue Origin, you need to have enough fuel conserved so that you can do a propulsive landing.
No, but if any object in motion will stay in motion, so once that reaches space,
Unless
it should
acted
stay in
upon
motion.
by an outside force. Unless acted
Right,
upon
so
by
you've
an
got
outside
it
force.
has been acted on by an
unbalanced
outside force. You've got the force from when it left the atmosphere, pressing on the atmosphere. It continues now, and obviously it shouldn't fall back down because it should be in motion. So that proves that space is not up there.
There's this thing called gravity, dumbass. There's this thing called gravity, and if you're launching straight up, gravity is eventually going to win. When you
Gravity,
turn your
get into that.
engine
But
off.
explain what? No, you can't go to gravity. The thing goes
Yes,
up.
I can,
It
and I-
reaches the Kármán line. It reaches the Kármán line. It runs out of fuel. Why doesn't it just carry on? Because it's already in
Because
motion.
gravity pulls it back down. Because
there's a
gravity
force.
pulls it back down.
Spurs, can I ask you a question? Do you think?
Hold on
rocket...
a second there, Craig.
Wait,
Hold on a second there.
This is relevant. This is relevant to the question to clarify something.
I want to ask Red something here.
No,
Red, once it
this is
leaves
important.
the Earth's atmosphere, it's left the gravitational pull. So how can gravity pull?
Bullshit, it's left the gravitational field. The International Space Station is still within the gravitational well of the Earth. Gravity doesn't just magically stop.
Beyond that. No, that's low Earth orbit. I'm talking beyond that. Once it leaves the Kármán line and out into space.
New Shepard and Virgin Galactic doesn't go past the orbit of the International Space Station. It's still in the gravitational well of the Earth. The moon is within the gravitational well of the fucking Earth, you dumbass.
You do know I'm allowing you to beg this question of this magical gravitational pull, right?
No, Spurs, no fallacies. You're not putting that here.
But you don't mind. But so you're saying that it goes up, runs out of fuel, and gravity pulls it back down to the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's in a different, even though it's now in a different medium.
There is no difference. Gravity doesn't actually shut off with a change in atmospheric pressure.
Yeah, if you change the medium, there'll be no forces acting on you once you're in space, right?
Are you fucking high?
Right, Spurs,
So
this is the question. Spurs, this is the question I was
space?
trying to ask that's important. Do you think the rockets just go straight up?
Yeah, all the rockets that we know, they go straight up, yeah. Well, apart from the NASA's ones, NASA's go straight up and they arc down, yeah.
Right. Okay, so how about this question? How does a rocket get into orbit? How does it do that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, according to your model and stuff, not in reality, but according to the globe, you're supposed to go around the ball a few times and then fly off into space.
No. How do you get? How do you get from the ground into an orbit of Earth?
Yeah, so you go up, you turn, you go around the ball.
Right, over to you.
Jesus Christ! Apparently,
go up and you turn.
This dude is confusing.
You're going to turn left, you either go east, or you go west, right?
No, dude, absolutely not. You got that all wrong. Look, if you are confusing suborbital launches with orbital launches, and you're confusing shit like New Shepard and Virgin Galactic with the Atlas V 551, then you clearly have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And if you honestly believe that gravity magically shuts off because you're now in vacuum, you're an even bigger dumb fuck.
What is gravity?
No, we're not going there. We're talking about empirical evidence.
Gravity is a force that pulls that rocket down on a suborbital launch. And also, on top of that, and by the way, on top of that, we don't even need to talk about gravity. You're right. We have observations. We have measurements to show that objects are in orbit. They are in space. Astronomy Live did the hard work for you because it's clear that you are incapable of doing it yourself. Astronomy Live was able to determine the orbit, was able to determine where the fuck it was going. We saw this thing launch. We saw this thing in orbit. We saw where it was going. We saw the orbit ourselves, and with no help from NASA.
I watched your rocket launch, Red, and you know when it went through the clouds, you stopped recording. Why?
No, I didn't stop recording. I recorded it as it was going through the clouds, you dumbass. Should we pull up the video?
Yeah, and then you got so far till it got
video
through the clouds. Why didn't you carry on recording until it completely disappeared?
I did record it
because I can tell you why. We know why, because once it reaches a certain...
it completely disappeared.
No, you cut. You switched. It went through the clouds. That guy said, did you get it? And he was like, yeah. He said he lost it in the clouds, and you were like, yeah, I'm still tracking it. And then, towards the end, you just stopped recording.
The guy who you're referring to, that's Astronomy Live. He was tracking it.
I lost it in the cloud because I couldn't see it on my monitor.
I just want to point out that, guys, I just want to point out
you didn't lose it, Red. You just stopped recording for some reason.
Right, everyone, hold on. I just want to point out that Spurs has completely changed the topic of conversation once again. Can we stick to what it originally was, please?
Okay, yeah. We'll get back
to why you did that.
We'll get back
to that. We can get to that. Let's stick to the original topic of conversation, okay? The fact that
you made a claim. You made a claim that we have no evidence that objects are in space. We have no evidence that objects are in orbit. We have no evidence that objects are in a vacuum. I gave you not one, not two, but 3 examples figured out by us, by ourselves, no NASA influence whatsoever, to show that you are full of shit on that.
No, you did half a job. Like I just said, if you recorded the whole thing, then yeah, you may have had something. But you stopped at the critical moment when we understand that if it reaches so high, it will either just fall down, or if it reaches low pressure, it will explode. So you didn't show those.
Will
You
not
didn't follow it all the way. Yeah, it will explode.
Are you fucking
because
high?
high pressure. You've got high pressure inside, low pressure outside. Just like if you were to take a champagne bottle up into space, a champagne bottle would explode, or a can, or anything that has pressure inside. It's very simple. Like you go up, you're supposed to explode. Your eyes pop out, your ears pop.
We've changed the subject once again. I want to get back to the original point. I think we need to reiterate what it was.
This goes down the line of the original point that Spurs is trying to get away from. Spurs, did you know that that's not the only rocket launch I have recorded in my long career of recording rocket launches with the camera that you told me to get?
Wait, you record rocket launches, Reds?
I was watching some, but again, you're stopping at the most important point.
No,
when
hang on. The point is that there is a certain rocket launch that I know you guys hate, and it's a CRS launch, where not only did we record the Falcon 9 taking off, not only did we record the landing of the first stage booster, which you motherfuckers still say is impossible to this day, but we also filmed the Dragon in orbit as it went over the UK. So we had confirmation of launch, confirmation of the first stage landing, and confirmation of Dragon orbital insertion. That object in the sky wasn't there 20 fucking minutes ago. Yet 20 minutes after launching, they're seeing the spacecraft in orbit over the UK.
No. I'm not arguing that. Yes, things can fly around in the atmosphere. No big deal. Whether it can fly
not at that speed.
Not at that speed. Again.
What?
Not at that speed.
You don't know what kind of you don't know the advanced technology that the military will have. Why are they going to reveal it to the public?
Please tell me you're saying it's a fucking hologram right now.
We know the laws of physics, though, and
no, not a hologram, but they would just have advanced technology that I mean, look at the Blackbird was a secret for years, and then they brought it out.
It can't go 4.7 miles per second. It cannot go 4.7 miles per second. Its body is titanium.
You can't engineer. You don't work for NASA, Red, so you can't design things like that, right? If you had 53 million and you were a good engineer, you could think of something that could go that fast, right? It's very simple.
The SR-71 Blackbird had panels that didn't even fit properly to allow them to expand after being heated up. Even at that speed, which was very, very fast, it was nowhere close to being orbital velocity. If the SR-71 Blackbird Hang on. If the SR-71 Blackbird were to travel at 4.7 miles per second, the friction on the skin of the plane would rip the panels off.
Depends on the nano, coating that they've got. Now, they've been making rockets before we were even born. Okay, so they'd be far more advanced today than, than the moon land, supposed moon landing times, right?
They don't need to worry about thermal shocking because they're in a vacuum.
I'd like to interject
it's not a vacuum, Red, because there's no container.
Spurs, hold on. Spurs, hold on. Team wants to say something.
I was going to say, you made a really good point that Red's rhetoric is not he's not a NASA engineer, and that you would probably take somebody that has that type of qualification to build something as technically advanced as like an SR-71 or an orbital vehicle that makes it to space. However, I do want to point out that every single one of those goddamn engineers accept gravity as a fucking fact.
Gravity is not a force.
Are you prepared to accept those as are you prepared to now accept it as a fact?
And also, let's look at the people that made the SR-71 Blackbird. You had other crafts that are like the Blackbird when it came to testing out advanced technologies. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing. All of these companies have a hand in making rockets work. Northrop Grumman, what are they doing? They're doing the Omega rocket. Lockheed Martin and Boeing, they run the Atlas and the Deltas under ULA, United Launch Alliance.
Oh, Red.
Companies.
Red. Don't forget about Northrop Grumman's Cygnus capsule, right?
Oh yeah,
and don't forget to mention what happens. Don't forget to mention what happens to the Cygnus capsule when it comes back into the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, what happens to the capsule when it enters the atmosphere at 4.7 miles per second?
It burns up. They use it as trash disposal.
Go fucking figure.
Hey, look,
so it
again,
looks like in order for
hold on.
objects to go that fast and not explode or burn up or disintegrate, they would have to be in an area where there is no drag, i.e. vacuum.
Now, we know
And
you can't have a vacuum without a container, right, Reg? You know this argument.
Bullshit.
You know it very well now.
Red,
Bullshit.
Spurs, we're not going to
Yeah,
go
I
there
knew it.
because as we explained to you on our channel, on my channel the other day, in the heliocentric model, the container is the universe. Therefore, the vacuum of space is in a container. Okay, you do
So
not
there's
get
atmosphere.
to. Yeah, hold
Okay,
on.
so
You
all
do not
atmosphere-
get to
okay,
redefine
fine.
stuff. Okay.
Fine. So all the atmosphere inside a container.
All the
Everything-
atmosphere is being held to the surface of the Earth due to gravity. Like it or not, the atmosphere has mass.
No, Craig
Spurs.
just told us we're in a
Spurs.
container.
How
That
much-
means
how much-
all the atmosphere is inside that container. How
Let
can
us
it not,
from me
Spurs?
lie,
It will
take-
fill the available space.
Spurs.
Craig just told us the answer. It will
Spurs.
fill the available space, Reds.
Does it?
Spurs.
No?
Can I ask a question here, Spurs? I haven't said very much, but I would like to ask you something. Just how much
Fine.
atmospheric pressure do you think there is at over 300,000 kilometers distance from the Earth?
The pressure, it's exactly the same. It's a different temperature, the only change.
So the pressure's the same, you're saying? Okay.
The pressure's the same everywhere, yeah. So if you go higher or lower, you'll experience the same pressure because you'll just experience different temperature. Now, we know that because when those rockets go up, they don't explode, right? The only thing that they have to contend with is the temperature change, right?
No, that's totally wrong.
No?
You can put
Okay,
a,
so you
no.
think the atmosphere has pressure. Can you demonstrate how the atmosphere has pressure?
Nonsense,
Oh,
sir.
absolutely.
Guys, we're letting him change the conversation over and over. He needs to stick
Fair
with
enough.
the original claims
Well,
that
he
we're
brought up
discussing.
pressure, and so if you
No,
make
no,
claims,
yeah,
Craig,
no, Spurs, you're the one that's been making claims about magical technology no one knows about. Those are the kind of things that demand evidence. The only claim here, and I need to reiterate it because you keep forgetting, the only claim that Reds and Astronomy Live are making in this debate at the moment is that Astronomy Live managed to, using parallax measurements, calculate the distance to the the thing that's going to Mars at the moment, right? And you cannot argue with that maths
I'm
because it
not
is so
arguing
basic.
that. You've just told, there's no argument. You've just told us we're in an enclosed system. All the planets, the sun, everything is inside this enclosed system.
The universe is an
and
isolated
everything's in
system.
the atmosphere. No, everything's inside the enclosed system, Craig. Inside, everything
Isolated.
is
So,
inside.
Spurs, the second law of thermodynamics defines the universe as an isolated system. But we are not getting into
Okay.
that discussion. We are sticking with the fact that the Astronomy Live has measured the probe going to Mars to be outside
And there's
of
no
our,
argument with that. I
it is
accept it.
outside of our atmosphere. Therefore, space
No.
is real.
It's not scientifically possible, no. You have to show
It's
that
been
with
it's been
science.
measured. It's been measured.
Measurements is not
Measured.
science. It's just the measurement.
Are you
Measurements
fucking
absolutely
high?
are science.
Hey, hang on. I have to ask a question here. Astronomy Live, as a PhD, do you agree with the statement that measurements are not science?
No.
Huh,
So you think
interesting.
measuring your
That's what-
height is science?
What did you say?
scientific about measuring- I forget your name. What is it? Astronomy Live, right? So Astronomy Live. What's scientific about measuring the height? Your height.
What's scientific about measuring the height? Well, let's see.
Yeah, your height. You're going to make a measurement. You're going to measure how tall you are, and you're saying that is scientific. Where's the science?
I took pictures at precise times, showed both in terms of the live webcast and in terms of the header data, exactly what time each picture was taken. I used rigorous methods to conduct these measurements, and I provided all of the data so that anyone else could verify it and double check me. So everything was done in a scientific way. Yes, my measurements are scientific.
I'm asking what was because you did it more precise than somebody else. What made it scientific?
Hello?
Data collection. Hang on, Spurs. Is data collection not science to you?
My audio cut out again?
Collecting information is what is scientific about collecting information?
I'm asking you, dumbass. Do you consider data science?
My audio's back.
Data is not science. No.
So collecting data is not science, according to you.
No.
So
you need,
you're weird, bro.
What is science if not collecting data?
Science is.
Hey, Spurs. Let me interject. I want you to give me an example, okay? Give me one example of science, just in your own words.
Yeah. So an example of science would be cause and effect. Testing the cause and effect.
No, give me an example of science, not cause and effect. That's not a correct answer. Give me an example of a particular science,
What? So you mean like chemistry, biology, physics?
Chemistry's fine. We'll do physics. Okay? Now pick an aspect of physics that you accept.
Got the scientific method there in physics, yeah? So you
No, that's wrong answer. I think you missed the question. Give me an aspect of physics that you accept.
The laws of nature.
Like okay. Do you accept F equals ma?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, why do you hold on? Why do you accept it?
Because that can be tested and experimented.
Hold on. We're getting somewhere. When you test it, okay, what do you do when you test it? How do you know that F equals ma?
Because you'll have an observed phenomenon, for example.
No, wrong answer. How do you know that F equals ma?
Magic.
I've just told you. You have an observed phenomenon.
No, that I know, and I'm telling you that you're not answering it right. You're deflecting the question I'm asking you. How do you determine that F equals ma? No, but okay, well then go beyond what you know, and then what's the next step? How would you know that the force that you applied caused the mass to accelerate at a certain rate?
Like I said,
how would you know that?
Manipulate your variable. You would test the independent variable to see if that was the cause.
You would. But you're getting so close. You're just avoiding saying the words I need you to say. You are now at the point where you are manipulating independent variables and getting dependent variables back. Correct?
My dependable variable. I'm testing to see the cause to it. Right.
You're manipulating your independent variable to get a dependent variable back. Correct? Great, Spurs! That's data collection! That's data fucking collection! That's measurements! That's everything that Reds, Astronomy Live, Fight the Flat Earth, and myself have been telling you this entire fucking time. You said it's not, and then once you work it step by step, now you know it is. I'll turn it back over to you, Red.
Calm down, guys. Look, so what he did was collected data, but what that data was not scientific. The data I collected was scientific.
No, the data, I know why. Hang on. I'm just gonna cut through the bullshit right here. You don't want to accept that it's scientific data because the data shits on your flat Earth conspiracy. It shits on your assertion that nothing makes it to space. You want to believe that the rocket. No, you want to believe that me and Astronomy Live recorded a rocket just nosediving into the ocean. Unfortunately for you, we have evidence to show that the payload that it was carrying made it to orbit and is now screaming on its way to Mars. This shit's all over your conspiracy, and you're doing everything you can to dance around the fact that we did the hard work that you guys don't know how to do to confirm that you guys are full of shit the entire time. The Earth isn't flat. That
is that we're not denying.
Going to Mars. There's not a fucking thing you can say to debunk that.
No one's denying that these things fly around, okay? But what you're saying, or where they're saying you're going, is not quite accurate, right? So if they are going to Mars,
Okay,
is like
stop.
Craig
You just
said-
made a positive claim. You need
Craig
to back
just
that
said
up.
they are inside the enclosed system. So everything is in the enclosed system. But no, there's no more issues. Craig has settled the matter for us.
No, I didn't settle anything. I just told you something that you're
You said we're
ignorant
an
to.
enclosed
You claim-
system. That means everything is inside an enclosed
Spurs,
system.
for once again, isolated system. Say the
Okay,
words.
hang on.
Say the words.
System.
Say the words.
Hang on.
Isolated system.
Greg, hang on one second. Hold that thought, and I want Astronomy Live to say something here because I know he wants to say something here.
Yeah, he made the claim that it's not going quite where they say it's going.
Yeah.
Where is your evidence for that? I have presented my scientific data showing it is going exactly where they said it was. It came from exactly where they said it came from. It came from exactly the time that the launch occurred, and that it is exactly as high as it was supposed to be at the time that I observed it. I did that using parallax. I did the orbit calculations using data I collected myself. This was empirical data. All of this right here, these coordinates, this is empirical data, scientifically collected. All these numbers.
No, again, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying that it's... Okay, so let's say if it went to Mars, for example. Craig's just told
It
us
is
that
going to
Mars
Mars.
is inside the enclosed system. Okay, there's no argument now here, is there? Because, of course,
Isolated
you can
system.
you can fly around an area that has an atmosphere. There's no issues.
You don't go that fast through an atmosphere without burning up, dude.
Also, that's
How
not what I
can you
said.
have an enclosed system with half a vacuum and
Spurs.
half of gas?
When have I said enclosed system? How many times am I going to say it to you? Isolated system. And the thing about isolated...
I said, is it closed or open, Craig? You
And I
it's a
said
closed
isolated. Now, listen. Within an isolated system, you can have microsystems where entropy will even reverse within the little microsystems. For instance, the inside of a refrigerator. Okay? But the entire universe is the only true isolated system.
So like a fridge, like a fridge is enclosed, right? An enclosed fridge, a container.
Oh, for fuck's
Spurs.
That's what you
Okay,
have to compare.
Spurs. That was not the point.
Can we move on? Can we move forward? Because look, Craig, you've settled this
Hang on.
first
Hang on.
No.
Hang
We're
on.
not going to move
Greg,
forward
I
just
need-
yet.
Spurs, I just want to make this clear.
Greg,
Spurs, I
Greg,
did
need
not
you to do me
say...
a favor.
Yeah.
Greg, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to shut the fuck up, and I need you to let Astronomy Live talk because this is about to get really fucking good.
Okay.
So you're claiming that space is filled with atmospheric pressure the same as sea level. Is that correct?
Yeah, everywhere inside the container. No, I'm not claiming the container, but Craig said it's a closed system, so everywhere in that container
Isolated
is
system.
the same. It will equalize, yeah.
Okay. So
Just
why does a
temperature
barometer read a lower pressure as you go up in altitude, say up to the top of even just a mountain? You can tell a pressure difference there.
So there was an actual press on that device. Can you demonstrate the pressure points, the pads, the places where we're feeling this applied pressure on the device?
Astronomy
It's a
Live, he
barometer.
needs a visual aid, so I'm going to help him.
Can you
All
can you
right.
show him a picture of a
First-
barometer?
I'm going to show him a picture of that change in atmospheric pressure that he doesn't seem to fucking understand. So let's tackle this one step at a time. Spurs. Let's say I had a container, and it was just atmospheric pressure. We close the container, and we have a packet of gas. Okay, just like a little ball of gas. I evacuate the chamber, which means I suck all the air out of it. If I burst open that packet of gas, it's going to expand rapidly to fill the void that I just created, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so we can look at that gas, we can see it expanding rapidly into the void, so we know we're in a vacuum. Okay, understood. That's what we would expect to see with a gas. I would like Team Skeptic to play the video I just sent him. I want him to fast forward to time code 3 minutes 6 seconds, and I want him to play this shit at 2 times normal speed. And I would like for you to realize something. When rockets go up, they're expelling a shit ton of gas. And sometimes, if they launch at just the right time, they will launch into the sunshine, which means that the gases will be illuminated. What you're seeing here is a rocket continuously gaining altitude. As it continues to gain altitude, the gases from the rocket will expand more and more and more, wider and wider and wider. The reason why this is happening is because the rocket is going into less and less atmospheric pressure. So yes, as this rocket is gaining altitude, it is experiencing less atmospheric pressure, which means the gases being expelled at the ass end of it expand wider and wider. This is direct evidence showing that as you gain altitude, atmospheric pressure nosedives.
No, what you're seeing here, because it's so cold, the particles are freezing, becoming like crystal solid, and they're either going to fall or, because of relative density, they'll find its equilibrium, and obviously they'll rest, or they'll go up or go down. But what you're seeing
you heard
the fuck did you just say?
You're seeing frozen gas.
Wait a minute. You just said rocket exhaust? The big flamey shit out the ass in the rocket is cold.
Yeah,
so
whatever's
cold
coming out of the
ice?
back there is experienced very cold temperatures and is freezing. Okay, and it's turn it into a solid. Okay, and it will either fall or depending if they're light.
It's superheated exhaust. It's superheated
again,
exhaust.
depending on but as soon as it exits, yes, but you're not listening. As soon as it leaves the nozzle, the temperature will drop immediately because of the outside temperature is so low. You see? It's like when you throw boiling cold water out in Serbia, okay, and that water turns into ice instantly, okay, because the temperature drops.
You know what I don't see it doing? I don't see it exploding in all directions just because it got cold.
Look at that. That's like throwing boiling hot water in a cold temp. Look at that. Definitely look at that. You see, and obviously because it's moving. So I'm just watching it on the YouTube again. There, you see, so yeah, you can see it clearly. Yeah, you know when you throw boiling hot water outside in the cold temperatures. If you see
Dude, look at that.
So
Spurs in going up. Go ahead.
In his little rant there, Spur accidentally admitted something that he probably shouldn't have said, that he started talking about relative density and that it reaches an equilibrium. He's right about that. It does reach an equilibrium, the pressure of the gas leaving the nozzle of the rocket versus the air around it. But what's changing is the air pressure around it is decreasing, which is why the whole thing, the whole exhaust, continues to expand, like you said, Red. That equilibrium is getting pushed in a certain direction because the ambient air pressure is decreasing. That's why.
If that were true, then the rocket would explode. The rocket would blow up.
Citation fucking needed.
Please. Oh, you can test that here in the laboratory. You can take a vacuum, take any can, remove the air around it, and the can will explode. Very simple.
You think? Wait a minute. Do you think NASA's tolerances are that of a soda can?
It's only metal. The rocket.
Only metal.
Yeah.
Only metal. Okay, so
amazing.
So if a soda can crushes at a certain depth,
have you not seen those giant steel containers that crumple when you remove the air from them? They just crush. Steel cans.
Hang on. Do you know?
Guys, he's changing the subject again.
I know that again.
Look, it's falling. You see, look, that's blown up now, and now it's falling back to the earth.
Okay, stop, Spurs, stop for a second. Stop for a second.
Fuck.
Look, and
sorry, hang on one second.
Pause it a second.
Spurs, hang on a second.
If you notice to the left, you can see the chemtrails. Now, chemtrails.
No such thing as chemtrails.
Stop changing the story. Stop. Listen, what you just said about the tanker imploding under the ambient air pressure. You know, Mythbusters did a video about that. They had a lot of trouble getting it to implode. They had to bang the hell out of it and compromise. They had to compromise the structural integrity. Just because a piece of metal, a can of some kind, may implode or explode under certain conditions doesn't mean all cans of metal will do the same. Just because it's made of metal doesn't mean they're all equivalent.
They are in on the gig. No, don't trust Mythbusters because they do things not.
Don't trust Mythbusters because they debunk your claim?
Pretty much.
No, because they're not on your side. They're there to help reinforce the lie. You see? So use
Any evidence that
somebody
they
else.
lied, or
Let's see some proof.
This is
Yeah,
the
we've
same
never
guy
seen
that
them
said
journalist
that
environment.
y'all have to remember this is the same guy that told PhD Tony that his seismic measurements were incorrect because they didn't show it was a flat Earth.
No, I didn't say that. I said if his conclusions show that it's a globe, then he's incorrect because we know that the Earth, we know that water cannot conform.
that's
in
begging
its
the question.
That's begging the question. Right
No,
there.
it's not.
Yeah, it is.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
Oh
that's,
my God,
that's exactly what that
said.
is.
And Spurs,
So anyway,
before,
look at
Spurs,
those
hold on.
chemicals.
Spurs, hold on. Right,
We have
before you
claims
try and
here
claim,
being said.
one sec, Spurs. Before you try and claim once again that the rocket is coming back down, the reason you see it like that is because this is what is happening. From a person
No.
that is yes, that is why it looks like it is coming down.
No,
Okay?
if you look at chemtrails, they are
No,
parallel to the sky.
not talking about chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
No, I'm saying the trail, any trail from a craft will be parallel to the ground if it's really going across the sky. But you can see this is arcing, going up and down. And look to the left, you can see the cloud, the chemtrails.
Stop
are
talking about
parallel.
chemtrails.
That's how the smoke from the rocket should be going straight across the sky. So it should go up and then straight away, not back down to the ground, into the ocean, you see?
No, because that is
That's how
what
we know.
you're
And the
saying.
sun does the same thing. No, but again, you can see there on the left there, Craig. That's what we should be seeing.
No, you are seeing exactly what you should be seeing if a rocket is going into orbit.
Go and get a chemtrail, a picture of a chemtrail, and have a
There's
look.
no such thing as a chemtrail, so I can't
There
do
is
that.
no such thing as chemtrails.
Well, those chemicals that come out the back of those planes, you know what I mean?
No such thing.
The aircraft that has that smoke.
You're talking about contrails, which is when hot air meets cold air and causes ice crystals.
Yeah, so they are parallel to the ground. Parallel. They're not curved. You don't see curved planes, lines like that. And when you, because you know, Craig, we have those the Air Force One that do those tricks with the. So we know when they're going down and up and down and doing loop the loop, and that's looking like it's going to do loop the loop.
Dude,
Nope.
no.
Craig, you
That-
know this.
That
I
you
don't
are
care
seeing
about-
because of that. End of story.
No, that is
Yes.
about to do loop
No,
the loop.
no, Spurs, no. That is the answer. End of story.
Hang on, I don't care about your misunderstanding about my footage, okay, Spurs? The fact remains the same. We not only witnessed this thing launch, we also witnessed the payload in orbit. And we didn't just do this once, it's happened multiple times. I referenced the Cargo Dragon for the launch that I filmed earlier in this live stream, where we filmed the launch. We also filmed the landing of the first stage booster without the second stage attached. Imagine that. And we also filmed the Dragon spacecraft in orbit over the UK, traveling at quite a fucking clip. When we measured the speed of the International Space Station, we found it to be traveling at 4.7 miles per second. Such a speed is impossible inside Earth's atmosphere. And when we look at rockets launching and launch at the right time so that the gases are illuminated, we see them going into a vacuum. You have been debunked at every fucking turn. Why won't you just accept that you got it wrong? The Earth isn't flat,
Well,
NASA isn't lying to you, and shit goes to Mars.
I mean,
Well,
probably not shit.
science kind of dictates. Look, Craig. I mean, I thought you were the moderator.
I was making a comical statement, Spurs. Chill, dude.
Sorry, but it's just like it's
slash
4
whoosh.
against 1 here. It's 4 against 1. Even though I'm under no pressure, but it is kind of
No, you're always under pressure, Chemo. It's called atmospheric pressure.
I've been
14
really
points
quiet.
inside.
I've been really quiet this whole time.
My job
You
here has
really
been
can't say
to
it's me against you.
The only thing that I have done, Spurs, is to force you to try and stay on topic. Okay?
Didn't I destroy you last night or the other night, Craig? Already?
No, not at all. You ran away after I debunked your argument.
No, I had to go. It was late again.
I do need to ask you a question about that video you played. Like, were you forced to do that because you didn't seem to enjoy it? It was the most
No, I mean,
emotionless
they speak that
voiceover I've
language.
ever heard. Like, it was
When you're
terrible.
learning any language, it can cause, it's stressful, right? And this is a language that you guys love and speak, and you know it so well.
It's called
But
English.
science is a different.
I mean, we learned it at
science
school.
is a
I know that's your
different
issue.
No, science is a different language, and science speaks with practical elements to it. And Remember, mathematics is just a concept. So all of
and
these
your
numbers
personality is that of a brick, which is why you managed to make it sound so boring, and like you were in physical pain whilst reading the script that Quantum Erasure probably wrote for you.
If it was about experiments, I could have made it sound more exciting. We could have sounded made, much more.
You can make anything
wonderful,
sound
but again,
exciting. You failed, Spurs. It
But-
was the worst flat Earth video ever. But anyway, back to Reds and the whole point of this.
Yeah, Craig, I want to just explain to Spurs something, and I also need Astronomy Live to help me out. Astronomy Live, that parallax measurement that you did, you were doing that with a remote telescope, but we also did a parallax measurement of the space station, correct?
Yes.
And you can find the video to our observation on my channel as well as your channel, correct? This isn't hidden from anybody.
Correct.
Okay, can you please tell me what the altitude of the space station was as well as its speed?
It was about 400 kilometers, and the speed was about 7 kilometers per second.
The same method that we used to get those values, which confirmed that NASA wasn't full of shit, is the same method that you used when it came to the Perseverance rover, correct?
Absolutely.
And it was within what percent of the true accepted value?
Within 1%. Actually, it was less than 1%.
Less than 1% accuracy. So
Yep.
Basically,
less than 1% error,
we're
99. Less than 1% error, 99.5% accuracy.
So basically,
Impressive.
we have a method that has already proven itself to be reliable, being used to figure out if NASA is full of shit or not when it comes to the Perseverance rover. I'm sorry, Spurs, you don't have anything to debunk this. You can either accept it, or you
got
can
data.
choose
You've got equations, Rich. We have science,
do
and
they
young
think?
people will not bother with this language that you guys bring to the world. They want to know practically, hands-on, how do these things work? You know, many young people make miniature rockets. Okay, they don't sit at home writing down equations about how amateur rockets could work, model rockets. No, they want to go out there and actually do it. You see.
To be fair, NASA doesn't really contact amateurs.
So look, let's go into this gravity question.
I didn't theoretically measure the distance here. Okay, I actually went and measured the distance. Okay, I was out all night the night after the launch. I didn't go to bed. Okay, until the sun came up the next day, because I was measuring the distance to the spacecraft using 2 telescopes simultaneously on opposite sides of the country. That was a very practical demonstration. It doesn't get more practical than that. Okay, this was actual empirical data.
Practical. You
right?
made an observation there, Astronomy Live. You didn't actually do anything with your hands apart from just look. So you did the first part, and even then, it wasn't really an observed phenomenon because it was man-made. So again, you're not looking at nature.
What?
This is not science.
What?
This is you looking at something
It
and
wasn't an
deciding.
observed phenomenon because it was man-made. Do you honestly
Yeah. So
believe
if man,
that?
yeah, because science deals with the natural and physical world. Did you know this?
What the actual flying jippity fuck? Holy chicken chip monkey balls, Batman.
That's a very interesting dogmatic belief.
Of
I'll
all
put
the
it that way.
stupid shit that you have said tonight, Spurs, I think that one might get you nominated for Dumb Fuck of the Year.
Okay. So what? How do you guys define science? Or Astronomy Live, how do you define science?
Science is a a systematic way of studying and understanding the universe.
Boom, mic drop.
Where did you get that definition from?
Oh,
Did you make that up
being
yourself?
correct.
Where did you get it from?
Where did I get it from?
Where did you-
I don't know. Maybe all
That definition.
the I did until I got my PhD in a scientific field.
So I'm saying, where's that definition? Where did you get it from? Is it from
You do realize that
any
some
kind of
people
source?
don't have to read. Hold on, Spurs. You do realize that some people don't have to read definitions from Wikipedia because they just understand it, right?
Make them up themselves, yeah.
He just
So where
gave
did you get it from?
He just gave you what science is to a scientist because he's a scientist and he knows what science is.
No, a scientist does science, not just read numbers. you understand?
No
So
shit.
he needs to encompass a systematic study and the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. So, does he have any experiment? He has the observation, and was that observation of the natural and physical world? No, it was of man-made, and he said, well, it went this fast and did, I mean, this is not science by any means.
Are you fucking high?
Man-made objects are excluded from the natural world?
No, wait. Look, this goes back to flat earthers. When in science, when we say it's the study of the physical and natural world, flat earthers have this moronic conception that natural means it can't be man-made, rather than not
plastic
supernatural.
Plastic is not natural.
Yeah, so you can't, for instance, you can't apply the Coriolis force to anything man-made because that's not science.
That's correct.
Yeah, science. Only
it's not correct.
It's really not. It's not correct, you moron. Hold on. How do you think we come to the? How do you think we have plastic? In fact, since plastic doesn't come together in nature, how do you think we, as a humanity, came up with the idea that we could invent plastic? We had to have a knowledge of elements. We had to have a knowledge of chemical reactions. And we had to use that knowledge to come up with something new. Everything about our knowledge, everything about that process is completely natural. We just are the ones that brought it together.
And also, don't forget, there's probably some numbers in there as well that Spurs is ignoring.
Yeah.
Because all we're interested in is the cause to the effect, right? So we see an effect in nature, and we want to know, how did that happen? We see rain, we see lightning, we see rainbows, we have earthquakes, things fall to the ground. We want to know what's going on. What caused that to happen? Now, you guys already presupposing the cause without actually any experiments.
No, there is. Okay, I do not like this whole presuppositional argument that you're trying to go down. It's not going to fucking happen. There is zero assumption when it comes to our measurements. Everything that we did, we can prove. Just because you don't understand,
that's incorrect. Your science, Red, doesn't prove things. Red,
I think what it is that you don't want to actually understand the material, because the very moment you start to understand the material that we're providing you, it will instantly destroy your entire worldview. Your entire worldview revolves around the flat Earth.
When Reds is saying about the
only flat earthers prove things.
When Reds is saying about proof, he's using the colloquial usage of proof. He knows that science doesn't prove things.
I'm a scientist here, and he can't be using that kind of.
You are not a scientist. Do not lie.
Scientist.
You're as much a scientist as I am a beluga whale.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Scientist?
No fact jokes.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Scientist? I would like to know what the last scientific experiment you did was.
Hang on. Let me be clear here, because Spurs is going to try and take what I say and make it mean something that it doesn't actually mean. So I have to be very clear here. When I say prove, I mean it in the normal sense, not the scientific sense. You don't prove shit in science. You present evidence that leans you one way or another. What we did was give you a metric fuck ton of data and observations, and guess what? It's pointing pretty fucking hard in one direction.
No. You've given me data. No. You've given me data that says an object is. You've got to let me respond. So you've given me data that says.
We've given you measurements. We've given you mathematics. We could go over this step by step to the last fucking decimal point.
Right, you've given me data that says an object is going from A to B. So what? You've told me, so what? That's not science.
At a certain speed. At a certain
height and at a certain what? You've given me a measurement, you've given me some speed, you've given me a scalar. What we're looking for... Astronomy Live. Look, if you want to conduct science, you need to have an observed phenomenon in nature. You need to know what caused that effect. And you obviously need to test that. Now, Team Skeptic wants to know, how do we do that? How do we...
To expand on that, Astronomy Live, would you say that the cause of the Perseverance rover currently being on its way to Mars is, I don't fucking know, the Atlas V 541 that you and I recorded?
Yeah, that's what the evidence points to. in every single way. The
Interesting
timing
how
of it,
that
the
fucking
position of
works.
it, the velocity of it, even the inclination of the orbit. Look at this, 27.5 degrees. Why do you think that's 27.5 degrees? Oh, because it launched roughly east out of Florida, and that's about the latitude of the launch site. A little bit off because they dog-legged it into orbit so that it would get into the right orbital plane
All
to go
right,
to
so
Mars.
let me get this clear, guys. Let's
within a
clear this up.
degree
So
or
you're
so.
saying if I was able to track an airplane from England to America, you're saying this is science? All I'm doing is
An
just tracking the
airplane
plane from A to B, and you're saying
airplane
this
is
is
not a
science.
rocket,
How
you
is this
douchebag. An
science?
airplane is not a rocket, you douchebag. An airplane will go in circles, loop-de-loop, change its direction at will. A rocket, after something is gone into orbit, isn't going to do that.
No, but I'm asking about where's the science involved if it's just gone from A to B? There is no
Where's
science
the science?
involved. We've just tracked it.
We told you where the science is. I'll tell you where the science is. The science lies in the observations and the measurements that we have made. Not only that, but you can piece together everything from the moment it took off to the moment it entered orbit to the moment it left Earth and is now on its way to Mars.
There's nowhere in the definition
of
to talk about measurements.
hang on. Every aspect of this launch has been tracked. And guess what?
Okay.
You, for
Not
some
denying
fucking
that.
reason, are still not satisfied because it's a
Not
rover
denying
and
that.
not a fucking tree.
Don't mix up. I'm not denying you've tracked it. Okay. Okay, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that your
The only big deal
claim
comes
that
in
the
if you
rocket
say this is
nosedived into
entered
the
into
ocean
an area
is
of low
bullshit.
pressure.
The
The only
big deal
if
is
you
that
say
the claim that you made that rockets, for some fucking reason, nosedive into the ocean is bullshit. That's the point here.
no, that's truthful because they cannot
No, it
maneuver
isn't.
in an area of low pressure. It's impossible.
Which is demonstrably wrong.
Well, then, let's see it then. Let's see it. You put a vacuum behind the exhaust of your device and see it move.
Do you think you need, like, to touch anything in order to move in any way, shape, or form? You do know that they have these things called RCS. They have thrusters. They have canisters all over the fucking payload that allows it to move itself in any orientation that it wants. You're only limited by the amount of fuel you take with you.
I might be wrong, probably, but I mean, because I'm not a rocket expert, I'm almost there, but we're getting there. But how I understand how you think the rocket works is how I was explained. You've got a bucket, you've got a piece of dynamite in the bucket.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So basically, if I have an object and I put a nozzle at one end, and I decide to throw gas out of that nozzle at, I don't fucking know, let's say Mach fucking 5, I'm going to get a force in the exact opposite direction. That's how
pushing
a
off
fucking
the
rocket
atmosphere.
works.
Pushing off the atmosphere, that's right.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction regardless of the
No,
medium that the
you don't seem to understand. Let's talk about this properly. So you've got a car, it's got an exhaust, it's got wheels. The wheels are obviously touching the ground and it pushes off the ground.
The car moves via traction with the ground because you're putting force to the wheels. That's not the same thing. Apples and oranges, motherfucker. Apples and oranges.
Listen here. Hold on. We're gonna develop the technology here. So we've got this simple car. It's on the ground. It moves on the ground. We're now going to get this car to fly. We're going to add some wings to it. So now we know it's going to push off the air. Now we're going to develop it. So we're going to put a booster, a rocket booster on the back of this car. Now you're saying we get it in the sky as high as the Kármán line, we get past the Kármán line, and now this secret new device somehow is pushed. How does it work? Explain to me. So we're on the ground, we push, we're in the air, we push, we get to space, where's the push?
Paying attention the first time, so please pay attention this time. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The action is me throwing shit. Hang on. The action is throwing shit out the ass end of the rocket at Mach 5. The reaction is the rocket moving in the opposite direction. Every action
because if you blow it out at Mach 5,
reaction.
No. So if you got the aircraft in space, and then you I don't know if you got the exhaust, you might want to call it. You've got a vacuum behind that. It's just going to suck it all away, and you'll not be able to push off anything. So it doesn't matter what speed
will
you
do
go.
absolutely nothing to
Vacuums
move you.
don't push off. Rockets don't push. Right. Spurs.
Hang on. Team, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to play
Yo, what
this
up?
video at max fucking volume. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, Spurs, I have a question for you. We're going to watch this video. We're just going to watch 30 seconds of it. And I want you to tell me, with a straight face or voice, that if this event were to happen in space, that it wouldn't move. Team, please play it max volume. Can't hear it. There we go.
Shall I continue?
Doesn't move at all under that. Huh. According to
No,
you,
it's not going to
that
move
would
an
do
inch. Right,
absolutely
let me explain
nothing
to
the
you.
crap.
Let me explain what would happen in space. So, or you can even do it here on Earth. You don't need to go to space. If you had a vacuum cleaner strong enough to put it right behind that nozzle there, or the
Dyson,
vacuum, the low pressure from the vacuum would
referencing
suck
you.
all of
Run.
that, and you would get no push whatsoever. So that's how it works.
Don't be
Let's take
alarmed.
any low pressure system. Doesn't have to be a,
Guys,
you say vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum
You
cleaner
say
around the
vacuum
block.
cleaner because
if
say
we
vacuum
were
cleaner 'cause it's
if
not-
we were to get nuked, all we need to do is get a bunch of vacuums and point them at the explosion at the same time. We'll be fine.
No. Space is the vacuum. It is the low pressure. You're not understanding, are you?
Yes!
You're losing.
FTFE
you
solves
can't seem to grasp
humanity's
what's going
problems
on.
every day.
So a vacuum cleaner is just low pressure. Okay, so you put that at the end of the rocket, and it sucks all the whatever's coming out of the nozzle. So it has nothing to push off. Now space is a bigger vacuum, more powerful than any home vacuum.
Bigger than a
obviously.
Dyson.
So if you
Dyson's
so
quite
if
big.
you've got a vacuum, if you've got
Like
that
even the VX11.
rocket, so if you've got that device, what Reg just showed in space, well, that's not more powerful than the vacuum of space, is it?
All right, Spurs. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever fired a gun?
Yeah, I mean, I've I've fired a gun, yeah.
You know what recoil is, then, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and there is zero
So-
recoil from the bullet. I can explain how the recoil happens now.
Right. Okay. Wait, hold on. Would you? What? Not really the question. So, the gun's in space
There's
and
no
it fires.
recoil. It's not from the bullet.
The
It's
gun's
not
in space and
from
it
the bullet.
fires. Is there any recoil?
No, there'll be no recoil whatsoever, and I'll explain why.
Oh my fucking god! This someone
Bullshit.
hit record.
Bullshit.
I'm going to explain all why.
Bullshit.
Okay, so there would be zero
Wait a minute.
recoil in.
I just want to make sure I understand you, Spurs. If I have a 50 cal with a steel core penetrator in the chamber and fire that son of a bitch, I'm not going to get any recoil whatsoever.
On Earth, yeah. In space, no.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you are dumb.
I'm going to explain why.
Red, can you send team the link I sent you in Hangouts?
You want to know why, or you don't
I'd
want to know
also-
why?
I'd also like
Look, I
to
Go
told
ahead,
you
explain.
almost,
video
not
right
a
here, which is a
rocket
rocket.
scientist, but we're pretty much experts on this now, Reds, these days. I mean, it's been many years since we've discussed, and we've advanced so much these days. Teams Fight the Flyer, Team Skeptic, they've had to make sure that they're polished and clean, and we've come a long way since our discussion all those years ago.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
can explain exactly how
Reds, I have a couple of things.
Play
I
the
have
video,
a video. I have a video that I have right here. Well, I'll play yours too right now. But I just want, eventually, we need to show Spurs rockets in a vacuum chamber expressing thrust. Okay, we'll do that eventually. Let me get your video up right here that you just sent me.
Okay.
Astronomy
yeah,
Live, I would like for you
All
to explain to us what we're watching here.
Okay, so go ahead and skip it 2 minutes ahead, let's say. So this is stabilized footage of the first Falcon Heavy launch that I filmed. And what you can see initially is this really bright flame coming out the back. Now, it's bright because there's unburnt fuel in the exhaust, and that fuel, which is, by the way, RP1 kerosene, is being burned in the oxygen ambient environment. It's very hot, and it's igniting with the ambient oxygen. Now, as it goes higher, the exhaust expands, and it also starts to become less bright. It starts to become translucent, and that's because there's no ambient air left to burn the fuel, okay? So at that point, as it gets higher and higher, and the exhaust starts to dim and become translucent, you will see booster separation occur. You'll see the boosters turn around. They're doing that effectively in a vacuum, and they are going to ignite and start boosting back above the Kármán line until they return to Cape Canaveral. So they are reversing their direction, completely reversing the velocity they're building up right here, and coming back to land at Cape Canaveral. Here comes booster separation. There's the booster separation. Notice the exhaust is translucent. We're not seeing that bright flame anymore. There's no ambient air. Those two side boosters come off, and they start to. You can actually see the RCS thrust there, the cold nitrogen gas, turning them around. Again, that's basically a miniature rocket that's exerting a force on them because it's working in a vacuum just fine. The engines turn on, and now they're starting to boost back. So two side boosters simultaneously boosting back towards the Cape. They're now boosting back with three engines, reversing all of their velocity that they've built up over the first couple of minutes of this launch, and then they're going to add a little bit of velocity to get them back on a trajectory where they'll land back almost where they started, just a few miles away from where they started at LZ1 and 2 at Cape Canaveral. And I watched this whole thing, start to finish, uncut footage, Falcon Heavy first launch, demo launch, and it worked. It worked in a vacuum. Amazing. You can see right here footage of a rocket literally working in a vacuum, reversing its direction.
Okay, yeah, but you want to know what the problem is? Astronomy Live. The problem with this footage, though, is that you didn't film it with a Nikon P1000, the flat Earth camera of choice, so therefore it doesn't count.
That's true.
And you've clearly used After Effects.
We are ready.
Yeah, there's also a 20-second discrepancy. The boosters landed not where they took off from.
Do you want to learn something today or not?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How about we let Team show his demonstration first? I know he's had this queued up.
No. I want him to respond to what Astronomy Live just said. Astronomy Live showed you footage of a rocket doing what you said was impossible. What do you have to say to that?
No, he showed the rocket going into lower temperature regions, as I told you all, and he cannot show the rocket going into above 200,000 so high feet. Yeah, everything here is expected in the atmosphere. Craig has told us everything's an enclosed system. So Craig, you've done a great job for
Spurs. I want you to repeat after me. Isolated system.
No, you said yesterday with Tony PhD, it's closed. We're in an enclosed system, right? It's on your channel.
We are in an isolated system.
Something completely irrelevant. I am watching the live stream right now. I'm able to play this quite nicely at 720p quality. I'm not sure why some of you in the live chat are having trouble with the live stream. I can only assume it's on YouTube side or with your internet provider side, because I'm watching it right now on my end and it's coming through just fine. So yeah, not sure what's going on there. I apologize, but it's out of our control at this point.
Yeah, I've checked it on my phone, on my TV, on my tablet. It's all working fine over here, so I'm sorry. It's not my computer.
Yeah, this time we won't.
Somebody said earlier that a few streaming services were down, so it may be just kind of a internet thing, not a local thing.
So,
not sure what the fuck.
So Spurs' response was that it's not in a lower pressure; it's in lower temperature.
Lower temperature.
So,
it's no higher than.
I have a question then. So, Astronomy Live, you said that the reason why the flame becomes more transparent as it's gaining altitude is because there's less atmospheric pressure, therefore less oxygen for the orange flame, for the gases to continue burning after the fact. So he's saying that that's not caused by the lack of oxygen. It's caused by the fact that it's just really cold.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can only have pressure in a container. We know
No,
gravity's not a force.
no.
We know
Yes,
gravity's
it is.
not pulling
Debunked
the
on that.
atmosphere down.
You were debunked on
So
that.
you can't
You
have
were debunked
pressure
on
in the
that.
atmosphere without the
You were
container.
debunked
Now,
on that.
unless
You
you
were
agree with
debunked
Craig,
on that.
where we live in an enclosed system,
You
that's the only way
were
we can have
debunked
it.
on
Right.
that.
Right,
Spurs, you were
Spurs.
debunked on that. If you have an empty balloon and you stretch the mouth of that balloon over the mouth of a bottle, and you start at the very bottom of a mountain, and you drive your happy ass to the top of that mountain, you will be surprised to see that the balloon is actually slightly filled up. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, you've got a
Could it be
temperature
a
change.
change in atmospheric
It's warmer
pressure?
inside. You've got warmer inside and colder outside. Of course, you're going to have an
It's
exchange
in a
transfer.
car. It's in a car where
Okay.
the temperature is controlled. Temperature is
No,
not a
well,
factor.
The temperature was the. What are you talking about? You control the temperature. How did you control the temperature?
You can control. Yes, you can control the temperature in a car.
Ever heard of heating in a car? Oh,
Yeah,
Spurs,
air
Spurs,
conditioner.
there's an amazing
Oh,
technology in my
God.
car. You can actually make the seats hot without putting the rest of
Well, go on,
the.
then,
It's
go on,
like
then, let's have
magic.
a look. Okay, fine. Let's have a look. Show me where you kept the
Christ.
temperature exactly the same from top to bottom.
There is
and only
actually
the
a
pressure
video
has
of
been
that.
applied.
I'll find it.
Spurs.
No, I want to see
Spurs,
temperature.
I want to.
Don't show me.
I just
Hold on,
want to
Craig.
point this
No
out,
point
Spurs.
showing me unless
Hold
you
on,
show me
I
the
want to point
temperature
something
is the
out.
same.
No, I want to point something out. If you did this in the winter when it was cold outside and you turned on the heater in your car, according to you, the exact opposite thing should happen. The balloon shouldn't get bigger.
In
it
order
should
for this
get
to
fucking
work, Craig,
smaller.
you've got to show the temperature
Okay?
is exactly the same at the bottom
Jesus
and the same at the
fuck.
top. Okay?
No, you don't.
Right. Before that, team is going to show you how rockets actually can work in a vacuum.
Okay, let's have a
Yeah,
look.
this video has. Let me back it up to right here to where they do the rocket the test. So this is in a vacuum, slow mo, and you can see here it measures thrust as it burns.
Interesting how that works.
That
It's
means
almost like
pushing
every
off of
action
nothing,
has a-
and you can see it pushing.
Looks like every action has an opposite reaction. Interesting.
Obviously,
Interesting how
it's
that
pushing
works.
obviously, it's pushing off the container. And it's not a
Are you
vacuum now,
fucking-
is it?
How's
Right.
it fucking pushing off
With
of the
what?
fucking container?
How is this a vacuum?
It's firing badassery. It's not pushing off the container with a goddamn stick.
How is this a vacuum?
Let me get it to the end where he explains. Hold on, let me get it to the end. He built it to be a vacuum. Jesus.
How
How's
can
he
this be a
generating
vacuum
thrust if
now
he's taking
in
the?
this state?
Oh God.
This is not low pressure, is it? It's very hot in there. You can see the
Okay,
heat.
so oh my God, so you think that the thrust just generated itself at the beginning when he first turns it on when there is nothing there? You're not going to get away with trying to make up an ad hoc excuse along the way. The thrust is not generated
show
by
that is a
the
complete vacuum.
flame going
Show
back
it's not-
out.
Show me it's a complete vacuum first, and then light it
You
up.
have to go watch the video. In the video, he explains how he built the whole fucking thing and that he can get it down to a certain vacuum. They tried different ways to get it to work. A lot of the ways required oxygen, and they finally found one that didn't require oxygen, that had its own oxidizing agent. And once they did that and they got the fucking flames to come out of the end, the exhaust to come out of the end, it generated thrust in the opposite direction, just as predicted. That's
No,
science.
for any movement
That's
there,
science.
Any movement there was seen as a result of pressure being pressed off the container. There's no other way. Now,
No,
The, you guys talk
that's
about
an a
recoil.
priori assumption. You are deliberately ignoring evidence that refutes your belief because you have an a priori assumption that it is impossible to generate thrust in a vacuum. And so you will ignore every piece of evidence that shows thrust occurring in a vacuum because you have
That's
this a
not
priori
evidence.
assumption. That's a dogmatic belief. That is not science. That is a dogmatic belief. No different
Yeah,
than
well,
any
can I call you Al, for
pseudoscientific
short?
or metaphysical.
like,
No, you refer to him as Mr. Astronomy Live.
Can I say Al?
No,
as of
actually,
right now-
Doctor. Sorry, Doctor
Hang on.
Astronomy Live.
Doctor, I like Doctor.
Right,
Doctor.
dude, you haven't just rejected rockets working in a vacuum. You rejected the existence of the vacuum at all.
Why are we
even
talking
though,
about the mechanics
Right?
of these things, Red? You're
even
avoiding the
though,
mechanics.
we have shown you evidence of objects going into a vacuum with the rocket launch, with it going into the sunshine, and you see the gases expanding, the International Space Station going 4.7 miles per second and not burning the fuck up. We have shown you evidence that the vacuum exists. Obviously, shit is going that fast, which means something needs to get them going that fast in the fucking first place, like, oh, I don't know, a rocket. What do you have left that backs up your bullshit?
I mean, I was watching your video, and it was about, like, 2 minutes before, like, you cut away. I think it's probably less than 2 minutes before you cut away. And that's about the amount of time it takes for those rockets to get to the highest point before they have
not answering my question. That's not answering my question.
I'm saying that is the answer. Is that you show everything up until the point of when you cut. So everything is fine, and then you cut.
Let me repeat myself because you clearly missed it. I have calculated the altitude, size, and speed of the International Space Station to show that the object is traveling 4.7 miles per second, which is impossible to do in a vacuum, especially with a craft that is the most unaerodynamic shape out there.
You're not going to like this answer, but
how can you have an object traveling 4.7 miles per second in a vacuum, or not in a vacuum, and have it not turn into a huge fireball?
Well, that's it. That's the thing. If it is going, I mean, you're not probably going to like my answer, but the only way you're going to know if it's going that fast is with one of those devices, like a speedometer thing. You know, you're going to have to show that it's going past the sky at this speed. So you're going to have to use radar and show more accurately than just you calculating with your language.
Guys, it's not science unless you do it exactly how I demand that you do it.
Yeah, if you want to confirm that it's actually going that fast, you have to show that it's going that fast.
Yeah, Reds, right? When talking to him the other day, and he keeps being going, "Oh, you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum." Blah blah. I show him this, which is gas pressure right next to a vacuum, and his way to rebut it was, "Did you put your hand in there to prove that it's a vacuum?"
No, I didn't say that. I said
yes, you did.
Container.
Yes, you did, Spurs. It is inside a container. It is a nuclear reactor.
Right, so that's what I mean. You need the container.
Spurs. If we know the size of the object, and we know how far it goes within a frame, we can see the distance it traveled within a certain amount of time. Speed is distance over time. We use that very simple equation, which I know scares the living shit out of you, to determine its speed. I don't need to call the Florida State Trooper and ask to borrow their fucking radar gun.
So, Red, all I have to say, it's like reading Chinese and saying, this says this. I have to say, okay, fine. So that's all I can do is take your word for it, that this Chinese language is what you said it said.
You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take my word for it.
I don't. That's right. I can get a device, a speedometer.
You can do it yourself. You can do it yourself.
You can
do this shit yourself.
Use that.
Okay.
Using a man-made object, Spurs.
No, definitely not.
Spurs, I have a question for you. If I travel 60 miles in 1 hour, what is my speed?
60 miles an hour.
60 miles per hour. Now, how do we do it? You use distance, 60 mile, over speed or over time. So hour. So distance over time equals speed. So if it works for cars going 60 miles in 1 hour, and we say that that's 60 miles per hour, why can't we apply the same mathematics to, like, let's say, oh, I don't fucking know, the International fucking Space Station?
It's not applied in the same way.
How in the
define that?
Did you reach that?
It's not defined in the same way, guys. God. No. It's defined in a flat Earth way.
Yes, because science tells us otherwise. So either the object is really going that fast in the atmosphere.
Tell you that distance over time changes arbitrarily past the common line?
Yeah, I just told you. Either it's really going that fast in the atmosphere, it's really going that fast in the atmosphere, or your calculations are wrong. It's very simple.
Spurs, so if I travel 60 miles in 1 hour, you say that's 60 miles per hour, distance over time. So it works. It fucking works. You just demonstrated that it works. So if we take this equation, which you agree works, and apply it to the International Space Station, how does it magically not work in that case? Please explain this to me.
Like I said, because you've got this object in the sky, you don't know exactly where it is. You know where
Apart from when you measure
is.
it, of course.
No, you don't know where this object in the sky is.
Apart from when you measure it,
Bullshit.
then you do.
We can measure it.
That's height.
Yeah.
No, you can only measure it with a practical device. You don't have that. You can only
They've got
estimate.
many
we
practical
do.
devices.
Yes, we do have a practical
Telescope's
fucking
pretty
device.
practical.
If you're using the same
Telescope's
method that
very
you're
practical,
using for the
cameras are
sun, then you're
very
completely
practical.
wrong.
Dude,
Yeah, if you're using
we
the
had
same method
two
for the
observers.
stars, for the moon,
We had two
for the
observers.
sun.
We had Astronomy Live and his telescope at one location. We had me about a little over a kilometer away at a different location. We were able to get parallax measurements. So, yeah, we do have devices that can get us data that we
You've
need.
got
So
the
much
distance
dumb.
to the sun wrong. Your distance to the sun is wrong. The moon is wrong. So if you think you can
Except that we
things
measured it,
stop-
so...
We didn't need to. Hang on. Fuck me. We didn't need to measure the
I don't
distance to the moon.
Well, of course you do. You want to know how far it is. Can't get
No, we
it's been
didn't
measured.
have to measure the distance to the moon. The only thing we needed to know was the angular size of the moon. And Astronomy Live, question, you measured the angular size of the moon that night, right?
Yes, and that was actually for your benefit because I wasn't using the angular size of the moon to start my calculations. I was using astrometry, which is the measurement of angular sizes based on star patterns. So I actually measured the
So we had
distance
two different
ISS
ways.
traveled using that.
So two different ways to verify parallax. They both converge on the same fucking answer. So how is it that the mathematics
We have a
that
problem
you
then. We
agree
have
work-
scientists versus mathematicians. You know, and
No,
it
we don't.
seems the mathematicians want to tell us and dictate where we live, the distance of things.
No
without
one wants to
having-
dictate anything, Spurs. Stop trying to change the
equations
subject.
You agreed that the
Yeah, you're
equations
talking in
work.
another language. You're talking this mathematical equations that cannot be applied practically, Red.
Yes, they
said
can.
that the
Science
equations
can.
work.
What are you?
You said that the equations work, so why do they not work on the space station?
Because we know where the car is. We can practically measure the car, the distance,
You know where the
all those
space
things.
station is. You can see the damn thing.
Wait, you can measure.
All of those things.
Spurs, I thought you said that measurements aren't science.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can use practical measurements to measure things.
And we've done that.
Not science. Nothing to do with science.
You keep saying
that
science.
car-
Spurs, you keep saying science.
Yeah, what we do is science. We look at the natural and physical world, look for the
I do
cause and
not think
effect.
that
you
we're.
guys,
Yeah.
you guys apply numbers to things, to objects in the sky, and say it's this far, without any actual measurements. That's the difference. That's why. That's
Except
why we're
we've measured
struggling
it.
We're gonna
Yeah,
need a
that's what we're
timeout here.
struggling at.
Timeout,
You
guys.
guys-
Timeout. Please, for the love of all that is halfway fucking literate in this universe, please just fucking stop. Brian M. Batcher, $1, no message. Thank you so much. I'm gonna use that dollar towards a lot of cocaine. I'm gonna need some cocaine after this.
Don't
PhD
forget the
Tony
hookers.
for $5 and the hookers. Okay.
They're all called
Yeah.
Greg.
Holy crap. Okay. $5 Australian PhD Tony says vacuums do not have power. They are in fact defined by a lack of kinetic energy. Vacuums cannot meaningfully be described as powerful. Thank you, PhD Tony, for $5.
Even if that were the
Anything
case,
you
we're
wanna
not
say?
saying. Even if that were the case, the point
It is the case.
we're talking about a vacuum cleaner. If you're going to say, well, that's not sucking, it's creating a very low pressure. Now, if you put that
Vacuums
behind any
don't-
exhaust, okay, fine, doesn't suck. It's just creating low pressure. Fine, we'll have it your
Vacuums
way.
don't suck. You do.
Okay, but what the point is if you take any of those low pressure systems behind a high pressure system, you're not going to be able to create any push because it has nothing to push off. You need that atmosphere, that material, the water there in the atmosphere, and that's how rockets work. They're not going to work in space. There's just absolutely no chance for them to work.
Spurs,
in space.
there's a group of people that disagree with you. Sorry, one sec, Spurs. The way that you're talking about rockets, there's a certain group of people that disagree with you. You have any idea what those people are called?
No, who?
Rocket scientists.
Rocket scientist, yeah.
Okay,
Fucking
right.
moron.
Yeah, but these rocket
Robert
scientists
Williams,
only
Robert
know
Williams
how to
for
make
$5
rockets work in the
says-
atmosphere.
They would disagree with that also.
No.
Robert
It's,
Williams
it's,
for $5
demonstrable.
USD again says World War I machine guns had water jackets. Why don't they make a similar structure that's a vacuum chamber around gun barrels? Oh yeah, that would. I think.
Okay,
that
so
is
can we go
to...
into the final? This is for Team Skeptic. This is because he was asking earlier on about what
Hey, do not
science.
interrupt the super chats. Do not interrupt the super chats, dude.
Sorry.
Seriously,
Sorry,
fucking Christ.
sorry.
Let's try this again.
Last
Robert
person
Williams,
interrupted
$5
Reds. They didn't find the body.
Yeah. Robert Williams, $5
Don't
USD.
interrupt,
World War I machine guns had water jackets. Why don't they make a similar structure that's a vacuum chamber around gun barrels? $5 USD.
That would be
PhD
amazing.
Tony. It would be. $5. PhD Tony. You $5 Australian. You and your fellow delusionards do not get to define science, Spurskimo. Observation of something not previously quantified is science. Live with it. Martin C., $5 Canadian. If you can be a whale, I get to be the bow of the petunias.
The bowl of petunias. That is a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when there was a creature, or some creatures were reincarnated, and they happened to be reincarnated as a bowl of petunias and a whale that happened to be reincarnated in the sky. So they fell to the ground with the whale not thinking anything, and the only thought that went through the bowl of petunias' head was, "Oh, not again."
$5 USD, the Athens 619. Post Skidmark is a scientist, the same as JM is a director. And we have Jeff Roberts for $5 USD. Man-made objects aren't supernatural. Spurs, ergo, they're part of the natural world. God's Auditor for $2 USD. Reds, let me at him. Actually, maybe later on. That sounds fun. We could go for another dumpster fire after this one if we want to make that a second episode. Let's fucking do it. I got nothing better to do. Greater than $5 USD. So Spurs believes that the rocket leaves a frozen trail, but probably also believes in chemtrails while denying the science behind them. Which is it? Question mark. So is it frozen water or is it chemtrails? Which is it, Spurs?
Oh, I'll get to answer these super chats now. But I want to go back to Tony's question about dictating science.
No, answer that. Is it frozen bullshit that's coming out of the rocket nozzle, or is it chemtrails? Which is it?
Well, obviously, if it's some type of gas or liquid, it will freeze under the cold conditions. So they have to work it out. Yeah.
So what you're saying
Hey,
is
Spurs,
it's
I have a question.
frozen.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Hang on. So basically, you're saying it's frozen chemtrails. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're telling me right now? That's frozen chemtrails.
Well, I get it. I'd have to look in the canisters. I'm not sure what they contain. So it depends what's inside them.
Until
Can
further
I
notice,
address Tony's
creator.
question?
Hang on. Until further notice, $5 creator. We're just going to assume that Spurs believes it's frozen chemtrails. Moving on. For £5, yo, Spurs, want to fight? Don't worry, your head's already so far up your arse, you're already fighting for air. The Athens 619, $5. Something post Skidmark hasn't answered. How does a sextant work on a flat Earth, and how does photosynthesis work? Do you think he understands how a sextant works at all, even on a round Earth? Raven Zero, $5 USD. Spurs, get it together. You are brain dead. Make peace with that. Way to go. Way better to go back to kindergarten and learn. And finally, MO for $2 USD. Spurs is a troll, guys. Seriously, I fucking hope so.
I hope so, because I don't want anyone to be this stupid, but, you know.
I don't want anyone to be this stupid either. It's sad.
Well,
It's
look, we'll find out, because Tony was saying about we don't get to define science and this kind of thing. Well, if you guys go by consensus, I think because what we do is directed towards young students, young people, up and coming.
I want to remind you, the last time that a flat earther went near some young students, it didn't end
No.
well.
Obviously,
worked out so well.
our message will reach far and wide. I mean, obviously, we have the media here, but the idea is if we have the practical demonstrations and we can show young people, look, hey, mass does not attract mass. If we can show you cannot have a vacuum around a container, and you guys say, yo, yeah, of course we can. Mathematics says so. I think we'll see who dictates the future of education, because I truly believe that
what you're saying is the following: if we can reach enough young people and leave so much out, we'll eventually fool them into being as dumb as us, because we don't believe in flat Earth because of scientific evidence or mathematical discovery or anything like that. We believe flat Earth because we have a religious-like attachment to the idea.
If you're thinking of making flyers, Spurs, if you're thinking of making flyers, the best way to do it is just put, "Hey kids, do you want to be retarded? Join Flat Earth," and just post that around.
Join Flat Earth. It's working well for Nathan over there.
Sorry, team. What were you going to say?
Oh, I just wanted to I wanted to ask you a question, Spurs, because you alluded earlier to when Reds was showing the rocket and they were talking about the exhaust expanding as it went further and further up, and you almost alluded to the exhaust of the rocket becoming cold. Do you really feel like the exhaust of the rocket becomes cold as it gets higher in elevation? Or did I just mishear that?
No, absolutely. I didn't say that, but now you've mentioned it. I mean, the metal contracts in cold temperatures. So the entire rocket itself will, I wouldn't say crumple, but it will have an effect because of the cold. Now, obviously, what I was talking about, obviously at the exhaust, when the flames come out there, it will meet such low temperatures, or you would say low pressure, it'll have no opportunity because there's nothing there for it to push off. Yeah, so it will just burn out and fall back down to the ground.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure that you were saying that you weren't saying that the flames themselves, because of their elevation and how they react. Okay, okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, the entire contraption will contract under cold temperatures. Anyway, all metal contracts.
So So are you saying is that there is no material in existence that can survive cold temperatures of space?
No. It's like you take a barometer up there. So you've got minus 50, but no minus 50. If you take a barometer, it'll just freeze. Everything will just freeze.
So if material can survive that temperature, then how do we have containers that can survive that temperature, i.e. we can have containers of liquid helium? You do know the temperature of liquid helium, right?
No, I mean, we're not talking like it will shatter like glass or anything. I mean, it will just become very weak, and obviously because it's got nothing to push off, it will just fall back down to the ground. It's not that it will break like glass. Like if you look at a balloon, for example, when it bursts, it kind of shatters because it's been frozen. You see?
Rockets are not balloons, though.
I know, but I'm just saying that's why it won't blow up. No, but you do see the rockets blow up when they go up.
I mean, look at electron.
What? No.
Look at electron for example. No, hang on.
You've never seen
a
rocket explode in the sky.
Hang on. Look at electron for example. Electron's made out of carbon fiber. Are you saying that carbon fiber is going to just magically crumple to nothing as soon as it enters space?
No.
I mean, that's how physics work, I think. I mean, right?
Anything that's frozen would become, not as strong. It become brittle.
Let's hypothetically say it does get weaker. I don't believe it gets weak to the point where you say absolutely fail.
No, I didn't say like it will just crumple, like but because
so
of
basically
because
the
of
rocket going at those temperatures would be able to survive and deliver its payload to orbit. So why are you even bringing up this point?
It needs water to surround it. If there's no water,
why does it need water?
Because there's no water, there's no pressure. Where we are now, there's water. Everywhere around us is water, very fine particles of water, you see. And as it goes up, the water, there's less water, you see. And that's probably why it's harder to breathe. So less water, you remove the water, you remove the pressure.
Guys, may I interrupt for a minute? It's important. We're having YouTube issue problems right now. Okay, issues.
I just refreshed the page. We're live strong. I'm watching it at 720p right now. It is not glitching at all.
Okay.
If it has for anybody, just
it just went out for me. Yeah, a lot of the chat said it went out for them, and it went out for me at the exact same time. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody was hearing what we're talking about before we went forward.
Cheers, team.
I think YouTube is just having a very shit day, or it could be that YouTube is
too much. That's why.
As shit as we are.
Yeah, they don't want to hear the truth. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Spurs.
I think YouTube caught the corona.
Let me explain this to you. Rockets are designed to deal with the stresses of launch. The engineers that work on these things on a daily fucking basis make sure that happens. Yes, we've seen rockets explode both in flight and on the ground. That's why we have launch abort systems, just in case shit like that happens. But they don't explode because of the shit that you're saying, because of a change in temperature. They explode because something internally has failed. Like, for example, for CRS-7, a tank on the second stage exploded. It was the carbon composite tank. It exploded. A heat exploded. Same thing happened on the ground with another SpaceX rocket. We also had a failure of a Delta II where a solid rocket booster kind of fucked up. We've also have the Challenger disaster where a solid rocket booster had a fuck up and that caused the loss of the vehicle and crew. Yes, we've seen shit explode in flight, dude, but not because of a change in
pressure. It's just a transfer of pressure, and that's what causes the explosion. It's very simple.
Yeah, a very violent transfer of pressure. A very fucking violent transfer.
Okay, so look, can we get into some science now? Because our team, because I haven't got much longer. It's really late here, Reg. It's nearly after 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're gonna debunk gravity and show gravity is not a force. It's not even a thing.
Okay. Before we move on, I just want to point out something. We have been talking science the entire time. The only thing you've demonstrated is that you don't understand science, especially when it's being spoken to you. And the fact is that we have evidence on top of evidence to show that rockets do launch, they do not crash into the ocean, they do deliver their payload orbit, because guess what? If it crashed into the ocean, we wouldn't be seeing the Perseverance rover in orbit on its way to Mars. The fact that Perseverance is
the sky, Red. We know it's
not the fact that
solid.
Perseverance
was
triangulated, tracked, and we deciphered its fucking orbit to see that it's going to be on a course to Mars, shows that the rocket did its job, i.e. it didn't crash into the ocean beforehand. So you've been debunked on rocket launches. What do you want to talk about when it comes to gravity?
Yeah, so we're going to show that mass does not attract mass with a simple egg experiment. So that we can so we all know the egg experiment. What Anthony
is an egg.
What Anthony did. So what we can do is we can extend that.
Anthony, hang on. I just want to make sure we're clear on which Anthony we're talking about. Are we talking about the winner of the Dumb Fuck of the Year award?
Yeah,
that
2019.
Anthony? Okay, so that Anthony, the winner of the Dumb Fuck of the Year award, the guy the guy
who's
who
literally the most stupid person of the year last year.
Yeah.
The
way you should open that up, Spurs, you should have said fellow scientist Anthony Riley. That's how you should have opened it up.
So we know that if you have a large body of water, we can take a swimming pool, for example. We can put the egg in the swimming pool, and that egg will go to the bottom. So we can pour salt into that swimming pool, and the egg will start to rise. Now, let's say we pour lots and lots and lots of salt into the water. We've got the mass of the Earth, the mass of the salt, the mass of the egg, but we don't have mass attracting mass. So how do you globe earthers explain that, just so we can debunk mass attracting mass quickly? Why isn't it being attracted to all that mass? Hold on. There's more mass under the egg.
What do you mean?
Yeah?
Hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean?
So we've just added more mass to the
attracting
Earth.
mass.
So we just added more. So we've got the egg on the ground, under the water. On the ground, under the water, and we add mass. to the swimming pool, right? And the egg starts to rise, yes? And we pour more salt. We've got like a wheelbarrow of salt. You know, we're just pouring salt. The egg is rising. So now we've got the mass of the Earth, and we've just now added more mass to the Earth, and we've got the mass of the egg, but the egg is moving away from the mass. Why?
All right. Because the water is being pulled more.
Do you know what
yeah, so it's pulling. Yeah, so the water's being pulled down by gravity. Fine. Why is it acting only on
water? Why?
What?
Do you know what adding salt does to water?
Sorry.
Do you know what adding salt does to water?
Yeah, it makes it more dense.
Just like Anthony Riley.
So, yeah, go figure.
Just like a flat earther's forehead.
So can you answer my question now then? So we've got the egg.
Hang on. If the density of the water increases with the addition of salt, and you increase the density of the water to be higher than the egg, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. They should have mass attracting mass. It should be pulling to the
egg
should be attracted. Sorry? Yeah, but why did it go up?
Float.
Why not down?
Increase the density of the water to be more than the egg, then the egg will float.
No, because you'll have more.
So the answer to your question.
No, hold on.
The answer to your question. No, let me answer your question.
Hold on. Let me just clear what red.
The reason why the egg.
The salt is being pushed from under, not from above. So you've got pressure from under the egg. It's going up. So you've got more mass underneath the egg, plus the Earth. Why is it being attracted to the mass?
What the fuck are you talking about?
He thinks that the mass
he was addressing. No, I was letting him. I was just letting him address you. I'm sorry.
You're going to have a density layer, right?
The reason
more
Spurs
at the bottom.
Spurs. Okay,
Listen,
I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain this as if you were dropped on your head as a baby, which might actually be the case.
Good chance.
Okay, so adding salt to a solution does not add a ton of mass, like, I don't know, enough to cause a gravitational pull on the fucking egg. What was
a pull?
We had hang on, the Cavendish experiment had giant lead balls, and the amount of force applied, the amount of force measured was tiny. Fucking tiny. And you're trying to say that you're going to add a sufficient amount of gravity by pouring salt into a solution?
I'm saying we've got a swimming pool. We've got more salt at the bottom. So the egg is, the more salt you add, the higher the egg
gravitational amount of the amount of gravitational pull you add with the salt is much lower than the amount of density you add to the water itself. Therefore, the water becomes more dense than the egg, and then the egg will float.
What are you talking about? We've got one mass and another mass. The egg sits on the bottom of the pool.
Not enough to make a fucking difference. Not enough
but the
to
egg
make
is already
a fucking
sitting on. The egg is sitting on the bottom of the pool until I add more mass. If I add more, so if I add more mass,
no.
So if you make more mass, if we make it more dense underneath the egg, which is more mass, why is it going in the opposite direction?
Magic.
Because the mass that you add does not add a shit ton of gravity. What it does actually add a shit ton.
You're not listening. Underneath the egg, there is a denser layer. That's why it's going that direction. Why is it going up and not down towards the more mass?
Because the water, which is more dense, has been pulled down with more force, creating an upward force in the opposite direction to the local gravitational vector.
What is that upward force?
It's called buoyancy. Fg equals rho gv.
So you added buoyancy to the water.
You added so much salt to the water that the density of the solution became greater than the egg. Therefore, the egg is going to...
Did you add buoyancy or did you add mass to the water?
You don't add buoyancy. Buoyancy is a
Right,
result
so
of
you
something.
added-
What
so
you
you
Spurs? Let me
bought-
answer the question. What you did was manipulated one of the variables in the buoyancy equation. That
No, we've
particular
got the
one being
yeah,
rho.
we've got the egg. It's rising. Doesn't
Yes.
rise unless you add the mass.
You are working so hard
Why
for
isn't
dumb
it
fuck
going
here right now.
towards the mass? If mass attracts mass,
Because
it go towards.
because the gravitational attraction of the egg and the Earth is so minute that the extra force added because of the change in the variable of the buoyancy equation creates a stronger force in the opposite direction than to the local gravitational vector. That's why. It's simple
How
maths.
does it? What are you talking about? It creates a stronger push.
Displacement, dude. If you have an egg on the bottom of the container, the egg is denser than the surrounding water. You add salt to the water, you make the water denser than the egg. Therefore, the egg will start to float. Because guess what?
Is it denser above the egg or
No,
below
dealing
the
with
egg?
the gravitational pull of the fucking Earth.
Is it denser below or above the egg, though?
Depends where you are.
It's below the egg, right?
I would like
That
to
was-
try to explain this to you, Spurs. I would like to try
Good
to explain
luck.
this to you, okay?
You really
Listen,
cannot math.
when you have, let's say you have a swimming pool, right? If you want to read the pressure at the bottom of the pool and you had a pressure plate, you wouldn't have to orient the pressure plate up and down. You could turn it sideways. You could turn it, at an angle. You could turn it in any direction because the pressure is in all directions. Okay. So when you have an egg that's, let's say, sitting on the bottom, it's sitting on the bottom like this, right? It's not flat against the bottom. There's water under the egg where it curves up. Well, that water is supporting the entire weight of everything above it. All right. Now that's water and egg as well. Hold on. Let me finish. And then I'll let you ask a question, but let me get fully through the explanation first. When you add the salt to the water, you increase the mass of the water solution because it's now water and salt in there. The egg doesn't change. It's the surrounding environment changes. So therefore, what happens is the upward force at the bottom of the egg becomes greater than the force of the egg pulling down via the Earth. Okay? So what happens is the Earth is not just pulling on the egg. Yeah, the Earth is not just pulling on the egg, it's pulling on the water too. So it's pulling on the water since you've added salt to that water. It's pulling on that salt water now with more force than what it's pulling on the egg. And so the support force pushes the egg up until it gets to a point where the support force is exactly the same pushing up as it is the Earth pulling down. At that point, the egg will reach an equilibrium. Its weight, its mass, weight at that point, its weight would equal the same amount of weight as the water that's being displaced by that volume of egg. Okay? So basically, to the water, it does not know whether there's an egg there or whether there's more water there. It's pushing and supporting the same amount of weight that's being pulled down by the Earth on that egg. That's why it moves up when you increase the density of the water, because it's pulling on the water more and more with more density. Now, ask any question you'd like.
Well, I was going to say that the egg, you could have it floating in the middle of the pool when there would be no forces acting on the egg.
Fail.
So if there was any
Spurs, I have
forces
a
acting
question.
on
The Earth is always...
Spurs, I have a question. Help me understand this. If I have an
Well, hold on.
object...
I want to get team's response here. So we've got the egg in the middle of the pool.
No,
What forces will be acting on
You forget
the
very
egg
quickly,
there?
Spurs, that this is my show, and I get to actually make the rules here. So I'm going to completely override that and go for this. If I have an object in a room and I let it go, it falls. Why does it fall? Why?
Magic.
Relative density. It doesn't always fall. Have you not seen that shark that can float in the middle of a room?
Well, relative density. Relative density relative to what?
Sharknado wasn't a documentary.
Hang on.
No,
Craig,
no.
I need you to do me a favor and shut the fuck up. Okay,
Relative
so
to the object
said-
or the medium that it's in. So it depends on the medium or the object.
So the surrounding air provides the directional influence, correct?
No, it depends on the object or on the medium.
If I have a fucking rock and I let it
Are people
go,
really this dumb?
does the surrounding air give it its directional influence?
No, the direction is down to the finding its equilibrium. Yeah, so where it finds its equilibrium
Relative to what?
depends on the direction. So that can be any direction, left, right, up, or down.
Equilibrium
So
to
if you find-
what?
To wherever it's seeking its level.
How does it seek what? How does it seek? Is it conscious?
How does it seek?
It's
Is it
just a
magic
law of
or
nature.
it's
It's just a law of
so
nature.
it's just magic then? Just magic then.
No, it's not magic, it's the law of nature.
Could you quote this law of nature, please?
I've just told you it's relative density disequilibrium.
I've just
Hang
checked
on,
my
hang on,
book
Craig.
of laws of nature. It wasn't in there.
Craig, I need you to do me a favor. Shut the fuck up.
That's
Okay.
because they're
Okay. So
lying
when
to
you
you
say
today. They're telling you there's a magical force called gravity, right?
Oh,
okay,
Spurs.
then tell us what the fuck it is, because law of nature is very vague. So if I have an object and I let it go, it falls. Why does it fall? Now you said relative density. Well, relative to what?
Magic.
Relative density disequilibrium, yeah. So when it's looking for its equilibrium, and that can, like I said, that can be any direction. There is no direction when it's looking for its equilibrium. You see, where it's more dense, it will go towards the less dense, least resistance, and once it's at its equilibrium, it will stop moving.
What makes it fall? Is it equilibrium with the surrounding air?
What makes it fall? I just told you So, if it's more dense to the right, to the left, again, it's just direction is relative in this moment.
Is
it
what more
relative?
dense? The air?
Yeah,
Like
the
left,
air.
Like left or right is relative. So when I say it's moving to the left,
Relative to
it's
the
because
you
it's
said
more,
relative to the medium it's in. So if you said relative to the medium that it's in, that means the surrounding air.
or the object, depending on what the object is, the mass, the matter, things like that.
It's a rock. Let's say it's a rock, or as some people would say, an atheist. Is
So
the,
a rock
is
will
the,
look for
is
the
the,
least,
is the rock
passive-
being
Yeah.
is the rock dropping down because of the surrounding air?
It's dropping down because it's too dense for the medium that it's in.
Okay, so it's too dense for the surrounding air because the medium it's in is air. So you mean the air, right?
If you want to call it that, yeah.
What the fuck would you call it?
Well, what is air? What is air?
Oh,
Define air.
don't,
my
please,
God.
no.
Red,
Red,
I'm
dude.
convinced he's a Poe. This is got to be a Poe.
Red, I just want to ask you something. So I've been working on a design that I think can make a lot of money. Can I just get your opinion on it? I think this could be groundbreaking and maybe help with the army.
Is it a shirt that says "What is air"?
No.
Fuck
Well,
me, man.
instead of like armor, you just get a bunch of really small Dysons and attach it to soldiers, and they won't get hurt by grenades and stuff. I mean, why has no one done this? I'm going to be a fucking millionaire, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
So back to my original
Come
question.
on, let's get back serious in that.
So you said, well, what is air?
That's why I
did
say
I
if you
hear?
want to go with air, fine, just go with the air. So the rock is too dense for
Okay.
what you call air.
Is it safe to say that if I have a rock and I let it go, it falls because of the surrounding air?
That depends, Red.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not because of the air. It would
Yes.
fall in another.
What is
Let's
what?
first do
It would still
You
fall
said-
in water,
you
right?
said-
Sorry, I
It
just
falls in
fuck's
water.
sake.
It's not because of the. It's not
It'll
because it's
still
air.
fall in water. I don't care. I'm in a room. It's not a fucking swimming pool. So if I have a rock
No,
in
so
my
it's not
room,
because of
and
the
I-
air. It's
What the
because
fuck
of the density. You're not listening, are you? It's not strictly because of the air. It's because of the medium, not just air.
But
The
what
medium
makes
could be
it fall
water. It was
in
still.
the room? The only thing in my room right now is air and
Oh,
depression.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
If I let
Air
the
and
rock
depression.
go,
right. So
That's a
the
good
rock
name for a
will
band.
fall- It will fall because you let it go.
it'll fall because I let it go. But it fucking when I let it go, it falls because of the surrounding air, right?
falls because...
No, the cause of why it fell is not the air, it's you.
Oh no, Spurs, please.
How did he cause it to
This is the-
fall?
This is that meme. Find what X is in the triangle, and they circle X and point at the bound it. There's X. It's
Yeah,
right there.
I mean. So, Spurs, what flavor crayon is your favorite breakfast? Are you a purple kind of guy?
Red.
Dude, okay, let's try this one more time. I'm in my room. It's not a swimming pool. It's not anything. It's
but
my
Reds,
room,
can you prove
okay?
me your room? In
Shut
fact,
the
can I see a
fuck
video
up,
of your
Craig.
room being built?
Shut the fuck up, Craig. I am not done. Okay? There is nothing in my room besides air and depression. If
Okay,
I let go
your
of
room
the rock,
isn't in the natural world. It's man-made. It's not in the natural world. You know.
Yeah.
You
Astronomy
can't do
Live-
science in your room. What the fuck, Reds?
Astronomy, okay, Astronomy Live. Do you remember about your occupation? Do you want people to know what you do to those rats? Because I will fucking
you've already
tell them if
told
you
them.
don't shut the fuck up. I'll tell them again, motherfucker.
Yeah, Reds, I'll just tell everyone that your middle name's Mabel.
True. Anyway, as I was saying, there's nothing in my room besides air and depression. So if I let go of that rock, what makes it fall down? Is it the surrounding air? Yes
Can you define
or
down?
no? Craig, I swear to fuck.
Okay, so again, you're asking a kind of a mouthful question. Are you asking what caused it to fall or why that direction?
Is the
There's
air
two
providing
questions
the
here.
directional influence that makes it go to the ground?
The direction, okay, so it's trying to find its level. It's trying to seek its equilibrium. That's why it went that way. Its equilibrium wasn't to the left. Its equilibrium wasn't above it. It wasn't to the right. It was below it. That's why it went in that direction.
What?
Once the rock falls to the
Define that.
ground,
Define that.
once the rock
Define
falls
that.
to the ground, if you remove the ground, it will continue to fall until it finds its equilibrium.
Why?
What's so
Spurs.
difficult
Yeah,
to
but
That
understand
doesn't
about?
even fucking make sense.
Yeah, but I think we missed the fact that Spurs said the room is made of area, right?
Area, what do you mean?
That's something that you said.
Okay,
mean,
so
what?
basically the rock falls because magic, because air that isn't really air,
You're asking
because
two
what is
questions,
air?
Red. You're asking direction and what caused the rock to fall. Why that
That's the
way?
same
Why-
thing.
What, no, it's not the same thing. The cause
Okay,
of the
why
rock
does shit
falling
fall?
is red,
Why
let
does
it
shit
go.
fall?
And why that way
Why does shit
is
fall?
because it's trying to find equilibrium. It cannot find it above
Why
it.
does
It cannot find it anywhere else but below it.
Why does shit fall? Why does shit fall?
Again, this is two. Are you asking direction or what caused the rock to fall?
Why did it fall?
What caused
at all?
Let me Spurs. Let me step in. Let me give you an example, okay?
So it has a direction. That direction is towards the
It wouldn't
ground.
fall
Why
if
is
you
it towards
pick
the
it up,
ground?
would it? Right, Red. If you didn't pick the
For
rock
fuck's
up,
sake,
it
that's
wouldn't
not the
fall.
point. If I let it
Then
go,
you're talking
it
about
shouldn't
potential
fall.
energy.
It's acting on it. Fuck's sake.
No, it
You're
fell
you're
because
saying
when
now
you've
that
got
it
in
builds
your
up in
hand-
energy as he takes it up, right? Right.
No.
Exactly.
No.
It had you're
No.
No.
It's in
Yes,
disequilibrium.
go ahead.
It's trying to avoid.
The rock on the
What
ground
Spurs
is
trying to do
already in
trying to
disequilibrium,
avoid saying
right?
that the atmosphere provides the directional influence. He's trying so hard to avoid saying that. He's going to go ahead and come up with some magical bullshit that says, oh, it falls simply because you let it go. Well, fucking brilliant scientists over here. No, dumbass, that's not the question.
Yeah.
Obviously, it fell because
You're
I
asking
let
about
it go.
direction.
There's something
Why
else.
that way?
There's something else involved there.
You're
Why
asking
does it
about
fall towards the-
direction.
Yeah.
Because
So-
Where else
that's
does it
where it's
fall?
trying- The reason it went that way, it's same like water. Water's trying to find its level, its
Why is it
equilibrium,
trying to find its level? Why is it trying to find its level?
because that's where it's at rest. That's where it
Exactly.
can settle.
Why
yeah.
is that the
It's at rest.
particular place where it's at
It
rest?
has order. We're looking
What
for
does that
order.
mean?
Why?
We're talking about
what you just basically said is that everything gets pulled to the surface.
Shut up.
No. It's looking for not pulled
so
towards the
it finds
surface.
its level.
That's the surface.
You said it wants to fall to the ground because it wants to find its level, and it wants to find its level because it wants to maintain order, whatever the fuck that means. Why order?
Because disorder doesn't work. We want things that work.
Why?
There is no work with disorder.
Explain, please. How does disorder not work, please? Please explain that. I'm completely dumbfounded by what you just said.
You can't make logical sense and information from disorder. Just take any language or any kind of information.
Explain that, please. No,
if
you're gonna apply human concepts of language, hold on. If you're gonna apply human concepts of language, and you're failing immediately, start with the natural world and explain how disorder is not possible. Because it's stupid. That's why I don't need to listen to know how stupid what you just said was.
I'm simply saying that with disorder, you can't get any information from it, can you?
Dude,
what
you
does that
can
have
get
to do with
tons
what
of
we're talking about?
For example,
what information from disorder?
No, that's bullshit. You can get information from disorder.
Well, what kind of information?
How would you know it's disordered?
For example, I look at Astronomy Life's code, and I'm like, wow, this is a fucking mess. This shit ain't gonna work. There, I just got something from disorder.
What did you get
Spurs,
from it?
the simple fact that you can... Hold on. Spurs, the simple fact that you can say that it's disordered means you took information from it to make the determination that it was disordered.
Yeah, we compared it to order.
Do you not understand that?
Yeah, we have a comparison. You compare what order is. You can see when all the molecules are excited, moving around the place. And then they find their order. Helium goes up, finds its level. Water comes down, finds its level.
Spurs, why is the universe striving for order? Why?
Because now you're getting into philosophy. We need a deeper understanding of who we are, where we are, why we're here. Without that
so there we
order,
go.
you'll never
Gravity exists. We're
what
good.
you're doing here.
We finally cracked it. We finally fucking got to the bottom of this fucking barrel. The reason why objects fall is because of philosophical concepts. Nothing to science at all. We finally reached the bottom of the fucking barrel. Took a while, but we finally fucking got there. Fucking finally.
Shoot me.
Damn.
Yeah, you can have it. You can have your
shoot me.
existence for no reason. The Earth is spinning for no good reason. It goes in this direction for no good reason.
No, there's reasons for all of it.
Spurs.
Spurs is reason for all
Right?
of it.
You can have no reason for the Big Bang and no reason for
there's reasons for all
conservation
that.
of momentum.
Right?
There's reasons for
This
all
is
of
all
it.
philosophy, Red. You asked me why. This is just my opinion. Now I don't know why it goes in this direction.
Facts
But
don't care about your opinion.
Logically, it looks like we want order. If it didn't,
Don't say logic.
order itself-
That's just not fair. You
if it
don't
didn't
use
order
logic.
itself in this fashion, we wouldn't be able to make sense of it. We wouldn't have the column, the density column, if that was all a big mess. Now let's think about that for a moment. There was order.
What orders it? What orders it? What orders it?
I don't know.
Spurs.
That's the point. That's natural. It's natural law. That seems to order that density.
Right,
column.
Spurs.
Why did it get
Spurs. Stop.
Hey, Spurs.
Okay.
Hey, Spurs. Can I, greater than for $5 in the live chat said, hey, Spurs, can I get the contact info for your LSD dealer? On second thought, I don't think I want to try that shit.
No, this is DMT. Seriously, it's like some super DMT hybrid.
Shit that lies a horse. Okay,
Yeah.
Holy fuck. I do have a question for Astronomy Live though. Astronomy Live question.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying yourself right now?
Oh, I am, definitely. I find it fun and entertaining. I mean, I think at this point, and this is just my personal opinion, but I'm personally convinced that Spurs doesn't actually believe what he's saying. That this is a Poe. It's very entertaining. As long as I can convince myself that he doesn't
think I'm there.
As long as it seems like he doesn't actually believe it. I have hope for humanity. If he actually believes all this stuff,
oh,
then there's
Astronomy
no hope
Live.
for
No,
humanity.
come on. Hope for Humanity left a long time ago. I'm sorry. Like,
I'm still trying to hold on to the last bit.
Yeah. As soon as Elon's like, right, we need people to fill these colonization ships. I'm like, yep. I'm going. Get me off this fucking planet.
Yeah.
Get me off this.
Well,
fucking-
that's
I do
it.
have a
You are the
question.
hope for humanity. You're
It's
still
not about
humanity,
the
even if you're on
flat
Mars.
earther, you know, I mean, no flat
Yeah,
earther
I
is
have-
going to convince anyone that the
I
Earth is
have-
flat. It's about what you guys say and what you guys do.
I have to
So when I
ask
ask you
live
for the
chat-
science, and you say, "Well, we just use maths,"
I will ask this. I will ask the live chat a question. Live chat, I need you to answer a question for me. In the live chat right now is a user by the name of God's Auditor. He promised one hell of a shit show. Should we bring in God's Auditor, remove ourselves from the conversation, and let just God's Auditor and him have a chat? That is the question. Craig, I think I already know what the answer is, so I need you to make a link for me right fucking now.
Already doing it.
I love listening to people have this conversation. So, hell yeah. And Spurs, again, man, I wasn't trying to ridicule you at all tonight. I'm really trying to help you see the brighter side of science, the side that
hey, I don't
completely
take
missed
any of
you
this
in third
personally. I
grade.
understand the trauma you guys are going through. It's hard, right?
Trauma.
You can't demonstrate.
Oh,
That's why I like you,
trauma.
though, Spurs. Is you have rebuttals like that. That's what makes it fun. So good on you, mate.
Okay, so who are we bringing on? We've got God's Auditor.
Yeah,
What does that mean exactly? Well, we can ask him.
their
Is he a friend of yours then, Red? You know him well.
link is live.
The link is live.
Is he a
Okay.
friend
He's
of
been
yours?
around the community for a while. He's been in
I-
the community for a while.
We actually met on those long, lonely nights in Chicago. It was passionate.
It's when Reds
Very, very
discovered
passionate.
donkey porn.
Oh, for goodness.
It was actually. How did
Yeah.
you know that?
Because you
Wait,
keep,
wait, don't-
because I've told you so many times, take me off of the group email, Reds.
Too much information, guys.
But then every week, Wednesday, without fucking fail, here's the list of the newest donkey porn videos I've found, rated by girth, width, and power. Like, he's actually got a power category. And it's disgusting. I mean, there's 47 people on that list.
Yeah, we measured it in drumps. That's the metric that we use, drumps. But there's American drumps and then there's metric drumps. We use the American system when it comes to the power.
People were saying, instead of God's Auditor, could we bring on God?
God?
You got to use your heart to speak to God, mind and soul.
He rung me up on Boost Mobile and says that you're kind of full of shit and that he made the Earth.
But like television was invented to speak to the spirit world. So
No, it wasn't.
the elite.
What?
Yeah, check the history. Yeah, have a look at why they invented radio and televisions. Because when they used to do those seances around tables, they were like, well, we need to boost the antenna. And they thought, oh, yeah, we can pick up spirits
Now,
on
Spurs,
television.
I may have had a stroke then. I may possibly have had a stroke. But
You
did you
probably
say,
will if you understood
they
Craig.
invented television to talk to spirits?
Yeah, to contact the spirit world. Yeah, that was.
No,
the
I'm
main
sorry. I
reason.
think I had a stroke again. I definitely heard you say that they used televisions to contact the spirit world.
The spirit world. Yeah,
You would
the
be
spirit
great.
world. So they were like, like in the 1800s.
Reds,
especially in the 1800s.
are you hearing him say that as well?
Yeah, it's
Houdini's
like,
era.
Wait, Spurs. Hang on. Did you hear that? It was kind of a. Hang on. Did you hear that again? It was kind of like a. Is there a spooky ghost in here?
Well, look.
Wait, Spurs. I know your confusion. Sorry. Yeah, no, I've seen Poltergeist as well. Sorry, that was just a movie. I know it's hard sometimes when you see it and it looks like it could be real, but that was Poltergeist. It's a really scary one and it's probably scarred you. But that was just a movie, mate. Sorry.
No, let me
Spurs,
just
I
finish
need
this off.
you to look up. I need you to look up a movie. I need you to look up a movie and I want you to know that it's actually not a movie. It's a documentary. It's called The Grudge.
The Grudge. Okay, I'll check that out.
Yes,
check that out.
I'm just dumbfounded right now.
It as a movie. They disguise it as a movie, but it's actually a documentary. That shit's real.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
I'm just
But yeah,
dumbfounded
I mean,
right now
we're
that
gonna
all
connect
these porn
to,
stars I've been watching are all fucking dead.
Well, that's because you keep getting the wrong kind of porn, team.
Yeah, hang on. Speaking of porn stars, hang on. Speaking of porn stars, I have a question. Hey, Astronomy Live.
Yeah.
Okay, so God's Auditor says that he's going to be in a minute or two, but he does say that he's a bit drunk, so he doesn't think he can do this completely by himself. He may need our help sometimes. You have experience.
Don't be nervous there, God's Auditor. Don't bite.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Listen,
He's nervous.
God's Auditor,
That's what the problem is.
God's Auditor is very drunk, and from what I understand, Astronomy Life, you're very good at deciphering the drunk.
Why am I
nervous,
very
man.
good at deciphering the drunk?
You have a PhD in neuroscience. You obviously know how alcohol affects it.
Well, okay, fair.
Intoxication.
But yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
all right.
I
I
have a
guess
point
I'll provide translation. Yeah, you got a point there, I suppose.
Perfect. It's better than your other title that I keep giving you. Okay.
I was getting tired of that title, to be honest.
Oh, don't worry. It'll be back soon enough. But I would also like to give God's Auditor some time to get in. If he's not in like 5 minutes, then what we'll do is we'll just say fuck it, and we will draw this stream to a close because, as predicted, this has been a colossal dumpster fire. Nobody learned anything other than Spurs is a fucking idiot.
No, I
But we
learned
do
something. I learned they made TVs to talk to ghosties.
that. Is there a fucking ghost in here?
That's why it's like telekinetic, telecommunications, television. Yeah, making sense now. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
telescope.
I'm
That's
okay
it.
with you.
That's it. Telescopes must have been made to contact
I'm
the underworld.
okay.
Telescopes, because they thought
Yeah,
they
I'm
could
okay with
see.
you being a
They could
Poe.
actually, they
I'm
want
okay
to
with you
make
being
a
a Poe
lens
when
that
it
they
comes
could
to the
find.
flat Earth.
Yeah.
I
They
just
find
got
out
word
believe
that
that shit, man.
realize the Earth is on a globe. Yeah.
And I just got word that God's Auditor does not have a camera. Therefore, he can't actually come into this call because fucking Voice requires a camera for some fucking reason. But whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, we determined a few things. One, Spurs does not know how rockets work. Does not understand what data looks like, doesn't understand what an observation is or what our observation even means, and thinks that gravity is merely a philosophical concept rather than a scientific question with a scientific answer. So with that, I think we are ready to draw this to a close.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I'm broken.
I'm burnt out. Spurs, do me a favor though. Can you like not act like a colossal douche nugget in my live chat when I'm live streaming rocket launches?
Well, I mean, because we know so much and about what's going on, we have to inform the
You
people.
don't know shit, dude. That's the point here. You don't know shit.
Spurs,
okay?
Reds takes a lot of time and money and effort to physically go and record these launches. It's cost him a lot of personal time. Financially, it's cost him a lot personally as well. And I think that you could at least do the respect of, if you want to go into his live stream, be a little bit respectful about what's going on.
What you can do, Red, is get an air balloon for the next launch. Hire an air balloon, a hot air balloon. Get above the clouds
just
so you don't have obstruction. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Follow the
I'm supposed to
rocket.
get into an air. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to get into an air balloon in a no-fly zone. Are you fucking high?
Yeah.
No. You can go. You can go back as far because the P1000 can see for miles. We have a 200-mile observational flat Earth in some cases. Now, you get in a hot air balloon. You follow that rocket right up until the Kármán line, and you will see
I'm not getting in a
that
fucking
it
air
will
balloon
either
just because you told me
explode
to.
or it will fall back down to the ground.
Okay, you're
right?
asking,
And you will see.
you're asking for an air balloon, and I'm asking you to just fuck off of my live streams. That's really it. That's literally all I'm asking. Just fuck off of my live streams.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Reds. Thanks, Astronomy Live, Team Skeptic, and Craig. I'm sure we'll be speaking.
See you later, Spurskimo.
Later.
Give a shit about what's
Bye-bye.
actually going on.
Bye-bye.
My live streams are not for you.
He's gone.
They're not for you. Fuck off.
Reds.
Okay.
You're to blame for this.
Fuck you.
All of this, Team and I probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
a
fuck
channel
you, had
that
a good
wasn't
time.
for I've lost brain cells
you are
tonight
Glenn.
because of you.
What's the alcohol? Blood alcohol level, the average blood alcohol level in the live chat right now? I imagine it's pretty fucking high.
I'm like
Staggering.
70% tequila, maybe.
I hope everyone has a designated driver.
0.76. 0.76.
Has everyone gotten their waterproof receptacle after this live stream? But like I said, I did tell people on Twitter that it was going to be a dumpster fire. So
Oh yeah.
don't be surprised, I guess.
Oh man.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and end this off the way that we normally do. So I'm going to start with Astronomy Live. Astronomy Live.
Damn it.
Say what you got to say. Oh, wait, hang on. God's Otter, is that you?
Yeah, I just fucking got this shit to work.
Sorry, he's gone.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is
Fucking
fucking annoying,
hell.
especially when he's trying to call me out and bullshit.
What's up, God's Auditor?
Can we get Spurs back?
How you doing, man?
Any chance?
Oh, just fucking magical. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Great.
At least
Define
40
awesome.
IQ points lower than when we started the stream, but no, not bad.
Oh my
I need
god, my
hookers
blood
and blood.
pressure is so fucking high right now.
God's Auditor.
man.
Dude. Okay, I'm gonna get. I want to actually hear what you have to say because this motherfucker really said some shit, and I know it brought your blood to a boil. So I'm gonna give you the floor.
Well, I want to know where the fuck he gets off saying you can't use math and physics. I just got done with Physics 2 in fucking college, and 80% of it is math. Like, Jesus Christ, I was doing it alongside Calc 3, and that is the worst goddamn time of my life. And he's sitting here saying, no, you can't use math. That's a language that, like, you don't use English in physics. You use math about 80% of the time.
Math, not meth, guys, just so you're aware.
Well, I mean, meth might make it a little bit easier, but I haven't
For
tried
us,
that one
maybe.
yet. Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. And then he's no air pressure. Like, Jesus Christ, I lived in Colorado Springs for 3 years, okay? No air pressure is something I'm pretty fucking familiar with. And I did actual experiments with water bottles where I lived at 6,000 feet above sea level, and then I drank all the water in a water bottle and then put the cap back on it and then flew to somewhere that was at sea level and watched the fucking bottle crush. Like, I don't understand how you can say something as stupid as air pressure is constant everywhere on Earth. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
He's either a Poe or he's just really stupid. What's your map?
Oh, I'm leaning towards Poe, but at this point I'm a little bit too
Poe.
pissed off to, I want to argue against the stupid, but I'm pretty sure Poe.
I mean, he's just a flat earther, right?
Vince, apparently they prefer the word retard.
I mean,
Can you not be
thinking,
both?
like,
I mean, I'm gonna say both.
if it is the reason why we're saying Poe is because we have too much faith in humanity that there's no one out there that can really be this.
I think it's more of a hope
just-
than faith. Like, I hope that humanity isn't this dumb.
No, I've met people who I didn't know you could be that stupid and not actually be retarded, so I'm pretty sure there are people that are actually that stupid out there, and I kind of really wish he would come back if he's still watching this, but Jesus Christ, I would not be surprised.
Well, actually, God's Auditor, I have very good news for you. Spurs is
Jesus.
always up for Spurs is always up for another conversation. So how about this? How about I get my brother from another mother over here, Craig, to set up a live stream on this channel. We will invite Spurs and you, and of having that fuckface Team Skeptic over there, I'll take his place, and we'll both moderate while you two have a chat. How's that sound?
Always up
yeah,
for
that
it.
sounds good. I can work with
All
that.
right, then that sounds... On a future episode of What the Fuck Am I Watching Tonight? Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and end this shit show. Astronomy Live, let's start with you. Say what you gotta say and get the fuck out.
Okay, well, I was just going to say you got a few super chats there towards the end. I don't know if you want to read those out before you totally close down the show.
I will be.
Okay, so yeah, besides that, I just want to say I'm firmly in Camp Poe right now for him. And it's not just because I want to have faith in humanity. Honestly, it's the way he approaches certain arguments, and you can kind of sense the evasion, and it strikes me as someone who is just trying to argue for the sake of arguing, not somebody who's arguing from deep-seated beliefs. That's just my personal impression of it. Anyway, I was entertained by it. But I hope people enjoyed at least seeing some of the footage and some of the data I was able to bring here tonight. I just uploaded this video today showing all the footage I collected of Perseverance and measuring the parallax and the orbit and all of that. And I just think personally, I really enjoy doing that, even for the sake of just doing it, because to me it's really cool that you can take a relatively small 8-inch amateur telescope in your own backyard and personally verify NASA probes as they leave Earth all the way out almost to the distance of the moon, and then measure the actual distance of the probe and the orbit of the probe and verify where it's going, in this case Mars. So come check that out, and if you like it, subscribe for more, because I'll be doing that again in the future. Thanks very much.
All right, perfect. God's Auditor, we'll move on to you. Say what you guys say and get the fuck out.
Well, fuck, I might as well introduce myself since I just got on here at the end. The most important thing is I worked at U.S. Army Space Command for 3 years, so satellites are kind of my fucking thing. So anyone who's saying that satellites don't exist, I have things to say to them. So other than that, I'd like to thank, yeah, no shit, right? I'd like to thank AT2 Productions for introducing us, Reds. And other than that, enjoy your evening, guys.
Peace.
All right, peace. Thank you so
care,
much.
man.
We'll be in touch. All right. Basically, both of y'all can't really get the fuck out, so I'm just gonna say to Team Skeptics, say what you gotta say and shut the fuck up.
Alrighty. Yeah, having a great time. Always like listening to Spurs get pushed in the corner and not have anywhere to go. And I would have loved to have seen God's Auditor cram his meat tube down his intellectual shithole. After that, subscribe to my gaming channel. I'm about to post it in the live chat, and we'll be doing a gaming stream later tonight. I'm almost at 1,000, guys, so go subscribe. Hurry up. Boom.
Sounds good. Before we get to Fight the Flat Earth, I'm going to finish off the super chats here. For Slicks666, $10, or I'm sorry, 10 pounds, I should say. Red, this is to help you financially. Spurs equals shit. FE Court equals shit. Earth isn't flat. And thank you for educating and entertaining us. The pleasure is mine. $5 USD. Tim Pryor says, I'm drinking vodka Red Bull. I'm good. Nice. Greater than $5 USD for your hot air balloon to the Kármán line trip. For your okay, let me read that again. Greater than $5 USD. For your hot air balloon to the Kármán line trip. Lol. Rob Montgomery, $5 USD, says, autopsy videos are not porn. I am not judging, just saying. Greater than $5. Hey, Spurs, can I get the contact info for your LSD dealer? Oh, on second thought, I don't think I want to try that shit. $5 USD. The Athens 619. Contact System of a Down for disorder, and team did a good job explaining.
Egg puns, always good.
God's Auditor for $2 USD, who is just here. Spurs define the normal force in physics. Saeed Ahmad, I might have mispronounced that. I'm sorry. $2 USD. Poskismo is trying really hard to win Dumbfuck of the Year. Area 85 restorations twice for $5. Equilibrium in this context means the balance between two or more forces. What forces are we talking about here? Spurs. You do realize more than one force can act on an object at the same time, right? The stupid egg thing. Yeah, he doesn't seem to understand that. That yes, gravity is a force that's acting on it, but buoyancy is also a thing that he seemed to completely miss out on. Go figure, right? $5 USD, Rosa 43. I gotta peace out. Have a good evening, fellas. Well, thank you so much for stopping. Golden Brisket for $5 USD. Spurs is what happens when someone with an oral rectal inversion gets food poisoning. Ouch. Jessica G, $5 USD. I don't think Spurs was ever dropped on his head as a baby. He was punted into the ceiling fan, though, multiple times.
I could just see it. The umbilical cord got wrapped around the fan and it just swung him out like for ages, and they couldn't get him off. He was just spinning, bouncing off the walls for ages.
His mom's screaming, and his dad is like, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!" Just trying to catch him. It's just, and then he goes flying, smashes through the fucking like glass table that they have in the room.
And the funny thing is that that's actually every flat Earth birth.
It's consistent.
Yeah.
I stepped away to
Cody
heat
Moore.
up my meat tube. Who are we talking about?
Spurs. They're saying how
important.
yeah.
Cody Moore, $5 USD. Explain to him how rockets are already at cryogenic temperatures before launch. Yeah, tell me about it. By the way, you'll notice that the Electron rocket is all black because it's made of carbon fiber. However, just before launch, you'll notice that it changes color. There's a lot of white on it all of a sudden. That's because that's ice. Because the rocket is really, really fucking cold. Cody Moore did a second super chat for $5 USD, but there was no message there. But thank you very much, Cody. Crafty for €5 said, our message is aimed at young people, in quotes. The definition of a predator to vulnerable minds. Can't speak today. Thankfully, young people are young, not stupid. Yeah, basically a predator to the young minds, to the minds that are still developing. Oh, Earth is fucking flat, kids, believe me. Fucking Christ. Yeah, that is a predator in my opinion. Tim Pryor for $20 USD. So let me get this straight. NASA's smart enough to have secret technology that can fly objects in the atmosphere at orbital velocity without burning up, but not smart enough to keep space not existing a secret.
Mm-hmm. Stupid clever, NASA.
Stupid clever. Let's see. Julian, for £5, says, Spurs logic. I'm having a romantic walk on the beach with my hot girlfriend. But in reality, I've shat myself whilst dragging a corpse along a side canal. Alongside a canal, sorry. Yeah, pretty much. Jeffrey Sloan, $5 USD. How can Spurs claim that there is a super metal alloy that can withstand 7 kilometers a second in the atmosphere, but none that can withstand a simple vacuum? It's called mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's called mental gymnastics. Mental fucking gymnastics. Donna Lamb for $5 USD. Spurs, next time you ride an airplane and those little yellow face coverings come down and you don't believe in pressure, don't use it. Yeah, pretty much. Brian and Batcher, $1 USD, no message, but thank you so much. And we got right back to PhD Tony, which I will read again because I think it is important. $5 Australian. Vacuums do not have power. They are, in fact, defined by a lack of kinetic energy. Vacuums cannot meaningfully be described as powerful. So that's the super chats all caught up. Let me do a refresh one more time just to see if there's anything new that came in. Nope, nothing else came in. So, guys, that was a colossal dumpster fire. Craig!
Sorry, it's doing it and I didn't mean it to.
I like my intro as much as the next guy, but holy fuck, dude. Okay, anyway, Craig, say what you got to say, and we will end the stream.
Thanks for having me involved. Always a pleasure to watch an idiot say stupid things. Make sure you subscribe to Team Skeptic After Dark to go and watch us to die. I might not be there tonight because I need to go to bed. I've got a debate on Saturday on my channel, and I may have someone lined up for teams either Thursday or Sunday. I'm not sure, but it'd be fun.
Even
All
if we
right,
don't,
so
we'll
with
have
that-
a live show still on my channel.
Yeah.
With that, thank you so much, people, for watching this catastrophic fire. This hangout was nothing less than that, nothing less than a pure fucking dumpster fire. Thanks to all the peeps that watch my live streams of rocket launches. Thanks to all the people who have supported me in making these rocket launch videos a reality, including the rocket launch live streams. I appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to say have a good night and talk to you all later. Peace out, guys. Peace out.